All right, idiots. / cultures, because I don't know what this
What
is.
a crossover.
Yeah, I know. So, because the way I do it, with the master plan will all become apparent over time.
Completely incapable of explaining to me.
It doesn't matter.
You just have to go with it.
watch it.
Yeah.
So we are joined by very esteemed guests. Not him. A very, very esteemed guest, Mr. James Montague.
Hello. Do I look in the camera or do I look at you? I'm not used to this kind of like setup. Look, there's like 6 cameras.
It's a proper setup here, isn't it? Yeah.
Short form. So if you want to be on top, Martin Scorsese over directed you. Don't worry, just we'll be fine. Forget you're here. Forget where you are. Make yourself at home. All that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's a great intro.
It's actually better than my home. This.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's got a nice vibe.
It's very good, isn't it? Very good. So, what we're here to talk about is politics and football. Keep politics in football. That's what
we want to do.
Yes.
Have you gone viral about that? I keep on seeing the I think there were joke stickers.
Yes.
On the charge of Farage, was that one of them?
Yes, it was. On the beak with Sadiq.
On the beak with Sadiq. And I saw some very some academics being, this is the. And I was like, do they know who they're dealing with? This is not to be taken seriously. This is not reflective of any kind of football culture other than one man's lunacy.
There's a few
four men's
key players.
Right.
Mr. Robbie. RJB, the originator, my old mate Dara Lenniscran, who we had a great one for inclusive Rob makes Farage a sob, but then Rob Edwards betrayed Middlesbrough, so now we can't use that. But yeah, there was, but from the river to the sea, TS6 will be free.
I've got to think of. I should have really given it some more thought before coming in. I could have got some great puns in.
Yeah. Well, there was more to come, all to come. But yeah, so I don't know if James Montague, we'll introduce you properly. Author of the greatest football culture books ever written. Yeah, 1312.
Blush.
Make sure you read it. And as we were talking about in the Travelodge bar, that I was shocked to find that not enough people are aware. So this is the part of the master plan again. Make the world aware.
Thank you.
Yeah. So So you were in Washington recently.
I was, yeah. DC, not Lincolnshire.
No.
The
Sunderland version.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good, because we had on our predictions that we did last week. If you've seen this, whenever it comes out, that my prediction was that there's either the start of or the complete downfall of Gianni Infantino.
Yeah.
Because I think I think there's going to be something so corrupt happens at the World Cup that it just fades away, but then that it just crumbles like Blatter did.
I hadn't realised till I read your book, Engulfed, available at all good bookshops. Some rubbish ones as well.
I did not pay them. I have not.
I didn't realise that Infantino basically de facto did away with the voting for the World Cup. You had this kind of rotten borough system where,
by acclamation. It's one of the most embarrassing things. I mean, a lot of people who write about football have been on the FIFA beat for a long while. And Sepp Blatter, former president, is seen as a kind of like almost king rat of the kind of the worst excess of corruption. But the kind of corruption they were peddling with was basically like bags of maybe 10,000.
Yeah.
Maybe can you get me an audience with Prince William?
Just a little bit of light corruption.
Just a
little bit of corruption
really,
as a treat.
Like pathetic corruption.
Yeah.
Just enough to wet my beak, And the kind of the way that FIFA is now operated under Gianni Infantino is that he is just seduced by the most powerful, often the worst type of political characters with the worst very good political instincts in terms of staying in power. But he has created a system now where you don't even have to bribe people. It's all sewn up before it even gets to that point. So that you corrupt the process and everything happens behind the scenes. And then he has the temerity to say that this is the most open. And anyone that's watched that video of the voting procedure where there's no press conference, there's no journalist there, no one can ask him any questions. And then there's just there's like a Zoom wall of people from all around the world, for these federation heads, who are they're in taxis. And they're like, one of them looks like he's in the toilet. And it's like, God knows what, but and it's like, put a show of hands. And it's like, well, and that's
just raise your hand like on Zoom.
Yeah.
Raise
And we're not even sure. Like, some of them are not even sure if it's their real hand. So there's a fake hand put up there because being held there, and so there is. I think the problem is that the golden egg is the World Cup. That's where all the money for FIFA comes from. And there's a great organisation called Fair Square. I don't know if you've met Nick McGeehan, who's kind of an activist. And a couple of years ago, he talked about like it's time to replace FIFA, and I'm like, there's no way that can happen. I mean, there's where something really bad's got to happen for federations and football in general to turn away from FIFA. But I think we might be at that point because they're in serious danger of fucking up this World Cup. So not only have they expanded it, which kind of ruins qualification, which to me is what I wrote a book about qualification. It's one of the best parts. There is no
greater autistic. I used to do this when you get my dad had to work on Saturdays or something. I'd get left in the computer room, and because obviously they had filters on it for the good stuff. It's like because it was a college thing, and that he worked at teaching cooking to fucking the biggest idiots I've ever met in Burnley. Never mind.
They need to eat though. Even the idiots need to eat.
But I remember just going I'd just spend I'd print out FIFA rankings and go where's who plays for Sao Tome and Principe? I want to know.
That's how I started out. That's how I started out writing about football. I'd go on the FIFA website and there's a drop down menu of federations. And I'd go through thinking, that's weird they play football. That's weird they play. This is 2001, 2002. One of them was Palestine. And I was like, how's Palestine got a national team but it's not recognised at the UN as a nation? And it just opened up this whole world of Palestinian football to me.
Wow.
That I didn't understand. I'd never seen before. And I ended up going to the West Bank, going to Gaza, and seeing this, how essentially the most powerful figures within Fatah had kind of seized the federation and the Olympic movement as a way, also politically to promote Palestine internationally. And the idea was you get players, from the West Bank and Gaza to play if you can, but you also get from the diaspora. So there's a lot of Chilean players, for instance, because they've got Palestino over there. There's a lot of Palestinian immigrants went over in 1948. So they've got this kind of very, and also because we're in a globalized world, you have third generation migrants or Palestinians who came to Europe, whatever, and then they play in Germany in the third division, and they'd come over and play. I'd know none of this, and I've done none of that if it wasn't for that drop-down menu. Really, Internet Explorer era, and you get down to it, sorry.
So no, just going back to what you're saying about could FIFA be kind of made to be non-existent?
Yeah.
Could we move towards the abolition of it?
I think.
What do you think it would take? I reckon if England, Germany,
the four that they've rigged the World Cup for, which is USA. Is it the 4 seeds is Argentina, but Argentina is obviously no power, Millet, lapdog. So so it'd be Germany, England. It'd be England, really.
It'd be England, Germany, Brazil,
but it's like the strength of the league. It'd be the strength of the league and the league and stuff, wouldn't it?
So because go back to the original point. The World Cup is 90% of the revenue from FIFA, if not all of it. The revenue comes from that and selling the arse out of that World Cup. And so
without it, they're just basically benign organisations.
And we're at a stage now where if we look what's just happened with Venezuela, if we look what's just happened, what potentially an invasion of Greenland, where there will be an economic and cultural, maybe even military schism between the US and, it'll be the end of NATO, there was all sorts of problems within Europe. But the idea then that those nations will send teams to a World Cup, when he's also threatening the president of Mexico.
Yeah.
He can turn on Canada, another co-host, at a drop of a hat, there's President Trump. The idea that when that World Cup comes, there could be a situation where people genuinely don't turn up. And then not only that, the run up to it, his power base is purely based on the idea that as long as I get voted for by the members of FIFA, I enrich them, every vote's going to go my way.
Yeah.
But if you get to the point where actually you don't care about those FIFA members anymore, and you do what he did when he was at the when there was the Gaza peace plan. Yeah. He was at the signing of the Gaza peace plan. Gianni Infantino.
now there's a man unqualified to be.
I think he's been.
Today I feel Diplomatic.
Did he bring Salt Bay there as well?
He's in the background.
Put a bit of salt on it.
I know Salt Bay. He's had to distance himself from Salt Bay, isn't he? Because he was so embarrassing.
What was he doing?
Fucking, that's just what a great thing for like ultimately a political leader in the world.
Yeah.
He's had to distance himself from Salt Bay
for the good of his political career.
Do you not think though? Because the World Cup obviously is obviously that's the cash cow, right? What is it, like $7.5 billion the last World Cup it generated? Do you not think that the majority of the audience is in Europe and they're already talking about after the Club World Cup, which no one went to and it was too hot to play,
and Chelsea won, worst of all,
which shows that it was a meaningless thing. Because obviously if Arsenal won, it would be very important. But like, they're now going to make the kickoffs really late. It's going to be really inconvenient for European audiences. Like, I don't think this next World Cup is going to be
good.
Very good. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a damp squib.
There is so because Infantino has neglected his members and gone to all these things, and he turned up for their council meeting late, didn't bother addressing them, didn't really give he just wanted to pal around with Trump, and he's gone to the White House more than I think there was a brilliant profile of him. He's been to the White House more than most of Trump's cabinet's been in the White House. So because of that, and I don't think like kickoff times, all that kind of stuff. I think
because when you that sort of like
fans adapt to that. You might have been a bit too young for this, but remember the Korea Japan World Cup. I mean, it's.
But if
that is my first World Cup. I remember that was a great feeling. Going into 4 years old.
It's different. It's different to like if it's Korea, Japan, you wake up in the morning and the game's on and it's evening in Japan, right? Yeah. That's fine. You can adapt to that much easier than if it's like a late kickoff in California.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's middle of the night. Yeah. Like people are going to have to,
will he drop off? Is he still going to be on?
He will, like, that isn't the issue. I think it's a more fundamental issue than that, in that there are going to be teams that might not turn up. That there could be a World Cup that fails to really take place because there's suddenly a war between Mexico and the US. There's like American politics is so unpredictable at the moment, and Infantino's kind of riding the line at the moment, riding the tiger of Trump, and it's got him so far, and it's got him especially. I mean, I don't know if you saw the final and you saw Trump. And I think Cole Palmer.
The best player it could have been, but the best player it could have been because Cole Palmer is one of my favourite footballers purely because I grew up with about 20,000 versions.
We all know a Cole Palmer. We've all grown up with a Cole Palmer.
But there's a certain subset of just like thick, very very clinically thick, but obviously really nice, warm-hearted lads. But he just goes like. Why was he there?
he's almost too kind of like. I'm not going to say stupid because he's obviously a genius at football.
Yeah.
But because there's no it doesn't appear to be any mendacity about him because of that.
No. He's too
pure. Almost,
he's incapable of feeling pressure because he just doesn't understand
what the pressure is. And I think that's maybe that Rooney probably had the same thing as well. But that Club World Cup. I think people thought, okay, well, this terrible idea, but Gianni Infantino has been pushing it for years with Saudi and UAE backing and their money, because what infuriates him more than anything else is the fact that the Champions League exists and he has no control over it. It's the top club competition. FIFA get no money out of it. They can't really ride on the coattails of the success of the super clubs. So you invent your own global Champions League, essentially the Club World Cup. You repurpose it in a way, and what it showed is. People follow the money. Ultimately, the amount of money that Chelsea won out of it, which is hundreds of millions of pounds, when
that'll buy them at least 4 different players.
4 different Brazilian wonder kids who then be warehoused and their careers destroyed. But that's what that's what you've seen, and you think, oh, okay, well that will be a success because the clubs will work out that we can't compete unless we're making that money. Because if Chelsea's got that injection, then we're going to need that as well. This World Cup is different because the economics of it are completely different. And the economics of it boil down to who's going to keep him in power. And if he's the first FIFA president who basically ballses up a World Cup, and I don't mean balls up a World Cup as in going to Qatar or
Qatar was objectively very good.
It was a very good World Cup, and I've just written a piece for Delayed Gratification magazine.
In there. There you go.
Last the breaking news about I was recently. I was there
about the Qatar World Cup. Definitely last the breaking news.
To be honest, it wasn't far off. It was actually because what we do is we look back at the last 3 months of news.
Uruguay shock Brazil.
There's some guy in Germany who's getting really a lot of power. Like nothing will come of it. Nothing will come of it. No, and so it was about the Israeli attack on Doha on 9th of September, and I was there for a World Cup qualifier. It was Qatar versus UAE, which ends up in a riot. And I filmed it and I put it on Twitter or X. And it got like 10 million views. Twitter. And it was incredible because you had all these Emiratis because they were furious that Qatar had scored. And so you had like this, it was a riot of guys wearing thobes. And so you couldn't really tell who was the Qatari police officer and who's not, but they were like kung fu kicking each other. It was honestly incredible. And I'd just gone to the toilet and I was coming by, I was saying to you earlier, I was coming past the corner flag and I saw it and I was like, what the fuck? I filmed it, I put it on X and it got like 10 million views and it's like my phone just absolutely exploded. But what was interesting is that bombing of Doha and trying to decapitate the Hamas leadership like probably led to the peace deal, as imperfect as it is, and the ceasefire in Gaza wouldn't have happened without that. And it shows you how important Qatar is in world politics, not as a... Like the Saudi influence is a bit different in terms of money and leverage and how they go about it. Whereas Qatar is a good
everything
place that kind of trying to survive, and the way they do that is through soft power investments and diplomacy, and the World Cup being the absolute pinnacle of it. And it was that. And when I went, I mean, I'm somebody who loves Arab football culture, and it was a great.
When Friday comes,
one Friday comes. And so it was a great, but because again, like Blatter, Qatar's often seen as the root of evil and money and power within football, and often what happens is it just gets usurped by somebody even worse and even more evil, and that's where we're at the moment. But I generally think that this was a World Cup that might fail, and if that happens, then FIFA is defunct as an organisation because it literally has one job, which is make as much money as possible in the World Cup. Yeah.
Do you think that the adjustments that they've made, obviously to the format, you touched on it earlier, like more teams.
It should. The worst thing about that, well, other than the serious political point you're about to make,
no.
But the worst thing about it is you have to do maths. It should be either 32 or 64.
Yeah, but it's the same with the Champions League, with UEFA, what they've done with that.
Yeah.
It's fewer games with jeopardy.
Yeah.
Right? So you end up with like lots of like games that people just they don't mean anything, so no one really watches them, right? And then people lose interest. And I think this World Cup's going to go on for 5 weeks or maybe even slightly longer. Yeah, I think that's just too long.
It is, but what's masking the fact that there's all set up for failure is the fact that, I mean, I've been working on a podcast about the qualification for USA 94, and that was before the 94 World Cup in the US. There was, genuinely, you're talking about like a minority sport. Like very few people were into soccer. Some people could have remembered the North American Soccer League with Pele, but mostly it was like, that's soccer, this is Europeans. And then MLS
the Wyoming Tornado.
Yeah, well, and actually Jimmy Hill was involved. A lot of Jimmy Hill involved in the birth of Saudi football and also in the birth of
a very good story.
US soccer.
A very good story from the smash hits engulfed. Before I let you.
So
just keep
all
going
of them.
Before I let you finish the David Icke.
Oh, David Icke, yeah,
who is directly responsible for all the worst kitchen chat I have ever heard. Was because I'll just let you tell the story. David Icke and Jimmy Hill, Jimmy forces Hill. Of Saudi football.
But I'll finish the point about so the US wasn't prepared for soccer, but they really worked hard on it taking off, and it took off, and it's become, I think, it's overtaken ice hockey. It's just overtaken baseball as the third most popular sport.
I think a lot of the parents of young children, they don't want them to play like American football now, right? Because of their head injuries.
Yeah, and it's much easier to play than baseball in terms of like the length of time you're going to play a game. So now you've got a situation where, I mean, if you like FIFA just if the ticket, all this dynamic pricing for tickets, which people are really furious about, because we just have no real concept of it here. Whereas in America, if you go to an American
Oasis.
sports event, Oasis. But if you go, but that was the first time most people would even come across it.
And Oasis is going to be like, and it's definitely started to happen. I was right about it, obviously, but like I knew Oasis is different. Where it's the biggest fucking band in the world. I know that it's coming back. All this, nobody ever expected it. All that shit. But I knew for a fact as soon as that happened. I guarantee next year I end up paying £100 for some shit.
Yeah.
And lo and behold,
maybe I don't know, because it was so negative, and I think there is a bit of a black swan event, isn't it? Like Oasis, like who else can come back? From the dead.
John Lennon.
John Lennon coming back from the dead. Well, it'll be some kind of Tupac style hologram. No one's paying £150 for that. But so. America is like now ready for soccer in a way that it wasn't in '94, and so like the ticket sales have been they've sold. I mean they're the fastest selling, so they'll say that's proof that this is
like
a big success.
£2,000 a pop as well.
But I think it's masking the fact that actually this is going to be a disaster, and if it is a disaster, then Infantino. I mean, he'll be fine. He'll end up somewhere.
Are we World Cup accelerationists then?
World Cup acceleration is a great phrase.
It's not just the ticket sales though, right? It's also the media rights and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And am I right in thinking that it's going to be on some subscription platforms? It's not going to be free to air in some places.
I don't know. I mean,
I think in most it's like Eurovision and it's like a public broadcaster rule. I think
there is
still.
I think we're still here, and I think there's. Fox has got the rights and Telemundo, but I mean, there's all sorts of. I mean, if you look back into a lot of the FIFA Gate stuff, like them getting the rights for that was all part of the FIFA corruption churn that's all been forgotten about, and a lot of those figures have now been given pardons by Trump himself. So I think we'll still be able to watch it. But again, will you be able to? What time are you going to be able to watch it? And will those games take place? That's the fundamental thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think there is a danger that there won't be. The teams won't go, and then as soon as one team doesn't go, it's going to be a cascading effect. You kind of touched on it earlier. It takes the big countries and the big leagues to say we are not going to lend our players to this anymore. And so actually it's more, we can survive outside of because usually they have the veto power. FIFA can say, okay, you're banned from football, all these other things, go to CAS. But if there's a critical mass of people that says, actually, you're just not, we can have our own league, we don't need you.
Like a European, like a world Super League, one world government.
Yeah, one world government, and we get. To be honest, I think that's where we're heading. And going back to the original thought with Fair Square, when they said about this idea of like a kind of fan grassroots FIFA organisation that wrestles power from FIFA, I was like, it's a nice idea, but like, how's that going to happen in the real world? Now I can actually see how that might happen because you are going to get purchased from bigger leagues in their own interest and say that FIFA isn't fit for purpose anymore, and it really isn't.
But the like as well just as we were saying on the weigh-in, so good the intern that's got has definitely got sacked for booking the event where you went to the draw, didn't you?
Oh yeah, So I went to the draw and it was absolutely incredible. I mean, there was one you pick up your press accreditation. Bear in mind, this is all super kind of. It's all about getting. The reason it's in DC, it was supposed to be in Las Vegas. The reason it's in DC was because Infantino desperately wanted Trump to arrive to turn up for it. Yeah. And
that is proper fucking. So that is Ballon divorce behaviour.
Yeah. But you know, Trump doesn't actually respect that. No. He doesn't respect
people who don't like Mam. He's in love with Mamdani, isn't he? Because he's like, because
Mamdani, absolutely loves him.
He fucked him off. He cunted him off, and then and there's an element that, I mean, but there is. I think there's is it Shane Gillis that has this brilliant story about meeting Trump. I think it was at a Super Bowl where he was at, and he was like, Trump comes over and says, "Oh, hello," because he's kind of. Gillis is a little bit on that kind of podcast.
He's good. He's the only acceptable one of that.
Yeah,
Rogan's
he's really good. He's really good, and
good,
I like him. I mean, he seems to think about things before he speaks, which is kind of quite.
I'm not be a 21st century fucking Riefenstahl.
No, and like it was brilliant because he describes how he was there and he's talking to him 1 second and he goes like this, and apparently Infantino's there, of course, and he's filling his plate full of food, and he just drops his plate and like just comes over straight away, and so he does this brilliant impression of Trump. He goes, I got America the World Cup, and this is the guy who I told to do it for me, and just walks off. and just completely just kind of like humiliates him in front of everybody. And you've got to think at some point, like, how thick is your skin?
Yeah.
You know, so there is, I think there's an element where, like, you know, it's like if you've been in love with a beautiful woman, you know, and you know, but they just treat you like shit. But you always keep going back,
back for more.
Or there's something to be said about being an absolute, probably like the most spineless sycophant that you could be.
Yeah, well,
so there's two ends of the spectrum. In the middle,
we've both been there with I've been on both spectrums with women as well.
Yeah. So I think it goes back because he's such a doormat.
Yeah.
So there is that element of it, but he goes so. It was all set up for him to come. We didn't know if he was going to come. Kink Fantino. Don't kink shame. Even handmaidens to autocracy. Don't kink shame them. And so we weren't sure. And then it came out that he'd invented a peace award for him.
So that was just
And I remember we weren't allowed in the same room as where this event was happening. So all the press were in a separate in the hotel in the JFK Center, which he then renames the Donald Trump and JFK Center.
That's
afterwards.
so funny.
And then
so funny.
And then he turns up and he's just and it honestly. I've never seen such a sycophantic affair, and I've spent a lot of time in dictatorships. I've seen a lot of kind of strange things, but I've never seen something so organised around massaging one man's ego from another man. It was just the most kind of almost homoerotic kind of event you can imagine.
You've not got it to the end of this podcast yet, James.
No, we haven't yet. It's already been. I mean, I've never experienced anything like it.
You would say that the court of Trump and like the way that FIFA treated him was worse than you would have seen in like Saudi Arabia.
Oh, worse. I mean, look, Saudi Arabia also knew how to when Trump won the first presidential election, won his first term, his first foreign trip was to go to Saudi Arabia. And the way they treated him as an emperor, essentially, you remember those big, huge gold-lined rooms, it flattered him in such a way that because Saudi has real money and it has power. And by flattering him in that way, it allowed them to influence him. And that's why the blockade of Qatar begins in the first place, because that's when
they got in with Kushner as well.
Kushner, all of that begins in that period. And I think what FIFA does, it gives his team a win, a political win that is very rare, that there's an unequivocal political win that might even cross like the political divide. And that's what it did. And so he might not respect Infantino for it, but he realises that this is a useful doormat on the way to maybe having some kind of legacy outside of being the most, well, whatever he leaves behind when he goes, eventually, if he ever goes.
Being like, to be fair, in terms of like, if you're talking about all-time corruptsmen, to be FIFA president and be worse than Sepp Blatter is an achievement.
Yeah, I mean, Sepp Blatter was kind of like, I met Sepp Blatter a couple of times, and like there is always this thing that he wasn't personally corrupt. Like he wasn't on the make. He wasn't taking backhanders.
He looked surprised when Qatar was in the.
He didn't. He wanted the US to win that.
Right.
And that the story around that draw in Zurich in December 2010. And I remember I was working at CNN at the time. We watched it live. And I thought Qatar would win it just because I'd seen how Qatar operated diplomatically. And I was like, they're very smart. They're going out. They're making gas deals with like Paraguay.
Right.
And the head of the South American, he's a Paraguayan guy. This guy's known to be super corrupt, but they've gone above him to the president of Paraguay and done this incredible gas deal. So they're making these
incredible gas deal.
Incredible gas. That's quite good.
Gas.
It's a beautiful deal. It's beautiful gas.
No one loves gas. That's why I love gas. And so it was good, but it was like there's a great story that one Australian journalist tells about how when the Russians came into the room, everybody's mobile phone stopped working because it was basically the FSB were there and they jammed everything.
No.
Well, as soon as Putin was anywhere near, so they jammed everything. So it was like every security agency was in the room trying to make sure that it was. It kind of shows it. So Blatter was really surprised. He thought it made sense to go to the US, massive market. Now's the time to capitalise on 94. So he was really surprised, but and I met him a couple of times. He's not like, so what he was addicted to was power, but not in the same way that Infantino was. He just loved being close to it, being taken seriously. So it didn't matter whether it was a dictator, but it could equally be like a minor royal. He just loved that. As long as he was in a room where that was like he was being feted and being kind of eulogized for it, and he genuinely believed that he'd win a Nobel Peace Prize for like bringing sides together. Some of the things that that actually happened, like one of his first jobs, and I loved telling this story. One of his first things when he became president was that he flew into Gaza with Platini to announce that Palestine had been recognised as, and this was like supposedly as a carrot to help.
This is a pro set blast.
He did a load of things, but it's almost like be careful what you wish for. Kosovo as well. I interviewed him about this in Zurich. I mean, he really pushed for Kosovo to be recognised, which was something like the Russians pushed against it, the Serbs pushed against it. They have good reasons for that as well. But the fact is that he said this is a good thing to do. You expanded FIFA to countries and territories that might not have been recognised. Yes, in self-interest, because then they had a vote and they'd vote for him. But getting rid of him was like, that's the end of FIFA corruption. We can rebuild FIFA.
Yeah.
And actually, what's happened is it's a little bit like when people talk about the assassination of Hitler.
Yeah.
Be careful. Like, what would have happened if Hitler was assassinated? It could have been even. I'm trying to compare. Blatter to Hitler and whatever happened next.
Blatter is effectively Rosa Luxemburg, really. If you think
Wait, so next time I come back, I'm going to have a Seb Blatter neck.
Blatter forever.
Blatter forever. So there is a case of like be careful what you wish for with this, but like.
But I think, do you not think the way that FIFA is that the organisation, the structure of it lends itself to that kind of corruption?
Yeah, it did.
The way that it
does the ex-political advisor to Blatter I knew, and he ran for Jerome Champagne. He likened it to like
a fantastic
Jerome
name.
Champagne, great name, really. But he's French.
You have two choices there: porn star or FIFA fucking president Blackie.
Sorry, Jerome, but he's a like very smart guy, and the reason that corruption could flourish was essentially if you get elected as FIFA president, you then don't have any say over who runs the confederations that really have the power.
Yeah.
So it's like being elected president of the United States of America, and then the opposing party gets to choose the cabinet. So you have kind of like, and so to try, and then you've got to mollify them, and really the best way is to just turn a blind eye to their corruption. So it was kind of the way to think of Blatter was when he became, obviously FIFA was a big organisation, but it's essentially like a golf club. He understood how to get elected president of a golf club every 4 years. When that golf club suddenly becomes
the most powerful
Apple, Microsoft, like a global massive generating machine corporation.
But it's the sort of like the most powerful non-state actor in it really.
One of them. Well, not a member of the UN, maybe. But,
Well,
maybe not anymore. Actually, so, Trump isn't turning up.
Yeah.
Well, he's turning up, but he's not saying nice things about the UN. He's saying nice things about FIFA. But in terms of like non-political bodies, there is no more powerful institution than FIFA, I think, or certainly in terms of reach and influence. But I think we could be coming to some kind of conclusion. If it's a wildly successful World Cup, then that's it. We're fucked.
I hope it is. By the way,
Yeah.
I'd love to be proved wrong. I just think there's a lot of
But
I love the World Cup.
No, but this is the version. If it is a success, and I've got a lot of American friends who are very excited about the World Cup coming. But if it is a success and it does work, essentially, the bad people have won. Which is the world being
which is like the evidence where the entire world is going that the bad guys are doing quite well.
They're doing quite well. This is a bad guy era.
Yeah,
and he's absolutely. I don't see Infantino as immoral. I see him as amoral.
Yeah, he is like the structure of a corporation in itself.
Yeah,
he was just there to seek as much profit,
shareholder value seeker. It's like a kind of like a pleco, and also a kind of like CEO balance sheet. But he's like seeking out shareholder value wherever he can seek it and find it. I was out in the state. I met some really great. Actually, we were talking about the when you pick up your press passes. The one thing he didn't control, so everything was controlled at this draw. And Trump turned up, and it was sycophantic. And I remember when he was awarded this press this award, like I literally laughing out loud. It was because do you remember the original Running Man?
Yeah, no.
The original Running Man with Schwarzenegger in it. You ever watched that?
Right, yeah.
And there's a bit where they capture his, like, there's a woman who's like kind of his love interest, and they capture her and they send her down into the Running Man game, and they get the propagandist to read like all the bad things that she's ever done in the world to like justify why they've just kidnapped a random woman and thrown her into this kind of game. And it was like that. Like you're listening to this guy saying, and it was like a political speech. It must have been written by his inside team. Like, there's been no greater man for peace in the world, and this is why FIFA is good. And it was honestly, it was laughable how the writing of this speech, and everybody came away from it saying, "There's no way, like anyone in FIFA wrote that. That's just come straight from the White House." And so it was all totally coordinated. The one thing they kind of ballsed up on was that the Watergate Hotel is where you pick up your accreditation, and you walk to the JFK Centre past the Saudi embassy. But that road has been renamed Jamal Khashoggi Way. So, and then all the press were there doing their stand-ups as we were waiting to go in with like Jamal Khashoggi Way and Saudi Embassy. Like, so I think somebody's probably got fired because of that. I think someone's lost their job out of that because it's like the one like thing that you should have worked that one out.
There's definitely like as well though. Like I am all for for that stuff. Like the British Embassy in Iran. Bobby Sands Street.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, well, I hadn't seen it. I went to Iran. I went to Bobby Sands Way, whatever they called it, and I thought that's a really funny trait that you only ever see in the Middle East or somewhere like that, or like in South America. And then you go to then I actually went when I was writing in Gulf. I went there because there was a big protest by kind of Saudi exiles, and we were outside there. And so it's just such a strange juxtaposition that I was there with the Saudi exiles whose all their families essentially been kidnapped and held incommunicado in Riyadh for nothing, for just not even they didn't do anything. It's because their relative is
like North Korea stuff.
Yeah, being kept kind of hostage, and you know this protest and all the security was out taking photos of us, and then I think it was literally 12 months later, you're there. And the world's media there, and the whole World Cup is there, and it's completely rehabilitated.
Yeah.
Do you think, has it surprised you how easy it's been for Saudi to kind of insert itself as like into like global sports? Like how easy it's been for them to take golf to, because
it did used
buy
to be
Newcastle to.
It used to be the one. It used to be like. Oh well, you know, like when City bought, when UAE, when Dubai or Abu Dhabi or whichever,
Abu
Dhabi, Mansour bought City. It's like, like it is a bit immoral, but you know, it's Dubai. It's this sort of like because the UAE is Dubai. It's all this kind of, and yes, it is like immoral, but. But at least they're not Saudi. And then Qatar buy PSG, and it's like, oh well, you know, it's a bit bad, but at least they're not Saudi. And then. We've got our club back, man.
but it's a great example, and I think like this is what comes through in Engulfed when you're talking to the Newcastle fans. Is how I don't know if this was the plan from Saudi's perspective.
I will try to remain quiet during this. My seething hatred of Newcastle.
Yeah. but it's almost like they had acquired Newcastle United, but also Newcastle United's fan base to be kind of defenders of Saudi Arabia in a way, or to kind of do the whataboutism stuff.
I think there was
that the plan?
I think there's some clever people who had looked at what had happened with PSG and Qatar, and looked at what happened with Manchester City and Abu Dhabi, and of course Sheikh Mansour his company owns, and there's very real calls at the moment for him to be sanctioned. So that we could have an Abramovich situation
for genocide in Sudan
because of what's happening in Sudan. I mean, he is so integrated into the power structures of the UAE. I mean, he was the point man with Assad when the UAE was trying to.
that just sounds. It's not a good job title.
Trying to bring like, okay, now's enough. Let's bring Assad back and rehabilitate Assad in Syria, and of course. Jalani al-Shala got involved and ended that conversation, and which is the world's opened up for a lot of Syrians, but not the UAE. It's much harder to get a visa now for the UAE than it was before because they're kind of pissed that the guy essentially, or the kind of movement that the UAE was like the idea of political Islam, anything connected
Baathism,
to,
isn't it? Yeah.
Well,
it's the last bastion. Of
being pro Assad. at least he's not connected to the Brotherhood, which they see as an existential threat. So they've not taken it well, and Mansour was involved in all of that. But what I think that proved, and what and PSG proved, was that it's like an auxiliary benefit that you do get people who will go out and bat for you.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is interesting about the UAE and Saudi Arabia in particular is they are world leaders in online manipulation when it comes to propaganda.
Yeah, you're talking about this Al-Qatari guy
Yeah.
who is that his name?
Yeah,
Al-Qatari, who runs these troll farms.
Yeah.
And they're paying people $3,000 a day
Yeah.
or $3,000 a week to basically just thousands
Reply
of
to
people.
my tweets usually.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
but they
and so-
talked about like the stages of like manipulation
Yeah.
and like how people just feel like they're being overwhelmed and they just cave and they're trying to just deter people from saying stuff.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
It's almost like the Russian playbook is that you don't want to persuade people one way or the other. You just want to throw enough shit into the mill so that you don't really know and you disengage.
The Vladislav Surkov, I believe. Yeah.
Is it? Oh yeah, it was.
Had
Yeah,
a bit of Adam Curtis.
There was Adam Curtis, and he does a great thing about him, and that's kind of. So I think there was the because you remember that when the Newcastle United takeover took place, it was after the Khashoggi murder. So in answer to your question, before the Khashoggi murder, I thought, okay, the Saudis have worked out what the Emiratis and the Qataris and the Russians had to a certain extent, which is essentially everybody's for sale. And the British in particular, we are susceptible to corruption and money in a way that almost no one. I mean, it is look, we will take anybody's money really, and you can see the owners of various different Premier League clubs over the years will take it, no questions asked. That's why it's so easy to buy a Premier League club. So they learnt that. So in that respect, I knew that if they decided to turn away from the extremely insular type of society they had before 2015, and I went to Saudi several times.
When it was like fully Wahhabist,
Crushingly unfair, safe but unfair.
Yeah.
Gender apartheid. Genuinely, didn't see women in public life.
No TV or music.
No music. I mean, you saw the religious police out on the streets. I mean, it was really like. It was quite,
Handmaid's Tale shit, basically.
It was really not some way. I mean, going to Riyadh on holiday, it was just like a joke.
Go to Riyadh for the after party of a Carabao Cup.
I have to say, right-wing Labour MPs, they did go to Riyadh. It wasn't off limits for them.
Yeah, but like it's like the thing, like the like comedians, like fucking even like your fucking charlatans like Jimmy Carr and all the fucking Rogans for you expect, but like Bill Burr, who's
Bill Burr, I think which is a real shame. I mean, I keep on getting mistaken for Bill Burr, so I feel like in a way, criticism of Bill Burr is criticism of me in some way.
Actually, I see it.
So he's in better shape than me.
That reminds me of last time we spoke of because you went like very funny and also true statement. You're on the spectrum. Well, yes, but that's a bit of a strange thing to say. We were talking about ginger hair.
Oh yeah,
I meant ginger spectrum.
Yeah, ginger. I said that to somebody else, and they got really offended. I meant no, ginger spectrum. And I was like, walk away from that one slowly, but like,
Technically, everyone's on the spectrum.
Everyone's on the spectrum. Just depends on what end of it you're on, I suppose.
And
But
but like I find
You're very severely on.
Some kind of spectrum. I'm not sure what it is, but like I'm no doctor, but like
otherwise, we would fucking. Oh yeah, I remember the FIFA drop down menus. Fuck off, mate. Fucking on it as well. Don't fucking give me that.
I've definitely borderline ADHD or something. I took Ritalin once, and I can't believe they give that to people. It's proper party drug. I was like, fucking.
Is it like Adderall? Have you had Adderall?
It's speed.
Yeah. Sertraline's good if you accidentally take 3 in a day. Like I did once.
It's speed.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
It's like, wrecked on it. So I can't. Unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to deal with my issues.
Yeah, so
clean.
We've gone fully men's mental health.
But not that it's bad for everybody. I'm sure. I've got some friends who are on it, and it like really works. But for me,
but no, I think I think though this is a theory I'm coming to more and more that if you're not a bit mental, you're a boring cunt. I don't want to speak to you.
I think boring cunts are overlooked. I think in a world of chaos, I think we need. There's a word for it in Dutch. It's burgerlijk. It's a cozy, nice, boring life with boring people. And it's like actually sometimes. I mean, maybe it's just I'm getting older.
But that's sort of an anti. Like as I rereading 1312 among the ultras, re-listening. Like,
you can't read.
Because
you haven't got the attention span to
because
read.
I haven't got the attention span to sit and read anything. No, he's got my fucking number. Well, guilty, Your Honour. I think there is something attractive about, like, you know, of the sort of. It is fundamentally stupid to go to football games and, you know, get in fights and get arrested. But it's you know.
Fun. Yeah, I write about this in 1312. I mean, I get involved in a arranged fight in Sweden where the other side doesn't turn up, and so the fans I'm with end up rioting and smashing up this part of Stockholm, and we get chased, and I'm with these guys, and they go to the pub where the other side was drink, and they go and smash everybody up, beat everybody up, and I'm filming it. I'm like, because the guy asked me to film it, and I'm going through this neighborhood of, like, there's just like unconscious bodies everywhere, women crying blood, people looking at me. I'm like part of it now. I'm not. I can't. They don't differ. It's not. Oh, is this a journalist?
Yeah.
Is he Brit? Like, no. I'm
West Ham, mate. Oh no, not that.
I'm now in it. So, and the police start chasing us, and I'm like, there's a police helicopter comes out, and so I get caught. I'm in it.
Yeah.
I managed to escape using the worst kind of like Scooby-Doo type like escape. Like, I go, I'm gonna just take. We're running through an estate, and I take off my jumper. And just said, do you know what? I'm going to pretend to be an idiot Englishman, which I do very well. I take off my jumper and turn around the other way, and I start walking down the street like, what's going on here? And the police just run straight past me, chasing these group, like, very, you know, steroided up kind of like maniacs. And I run into a park, and I'm hiding under a bush, and I can see, like, the police vans are chasing everybody. And I get on the phone, and I order an Uber. And the Uber turns up, and I jump into the car, and the Uber goes past this smashed up kind of bar and all this chaos, it's just everything. Get back to my hotel, and I remember when I get back to my hotel, I've escaped, I've managed to get away. I'm looking, I write about it in the book. I look in the mirror, and I'm looking at myself, I'm smiling, I've enjoyed it. Like, I understand it, I understood it, the thrill, the adrenaline that you had from that. That's why they do it. That's why you get involved in those things. And so I kind of like it, like, being a fan, being an ultra, being a hooligan, being part of, like, the underground, like a koala footballer, I think it's called in Russian, this kind of like forest fighting scene.
Do we even have that?
Yeah, there is. Well, there is a little bit. It's coming here now. So there's
because, like, the culture in the 80s of the, like, hooliganism.
That's where they all got it from, innit? Like, you poll vote, and then.
But it's sort of subsided here.
My theory that we'll get to is that Margaret Thatcher caused the downfall. Well, it's not a theory; it's obvious. But Margaret, like, I think the reason we don't have that is, like, like, people are too individualistic right now in Britain, I think, to be like, to sort of, like, when you're on about, like, like Passenger ultras in Indonesia, like, a place like that is more like of a collectivist kind of.
The main reason why is because football fan culture was essentially razed to the ground.
And sold to them, sold
with
to
the Taylor
people.
Report and everything that happened after Hillsborough. I mean, and something needs to change, because, I mean, obviously Hillsborough is about the police, and
which obviously all the recommendations deflected from.
Deflected from
football fans.
But one of the great kind of like cover-ups in British political history. But the aftermath of that was to essentially create a situation within football stadiums where it's like, if you did a crime and you're a football fan, then it's considered a worse crime than if you did it out on the streets or outside of a football context, which is insane when you think about it, the fans are criminalised in that way. And because of that...
Like streaking on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like trespassing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's trespassing offence. That's why we don't get streakers anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and this is also...
No, I don't think that's the only reason. I think it's because they don't take pictures and they don't show it on television.
Yeah.
It's not worth it anymore for a streaker, unless you're really into showing your bits to the crowd.
Also,
but you don't get any television or social media like fame from
another thing though, right? I remember First Music Festival 2012, something like that. That's just like the start of like smartphones. People have got a smart, but, like, you know, start of social media's not really that big, whatever. I think social media deprived, you know, music festivals of the best thing that can happen: the pan to the crowd, bird.
Yeah. You really, I mean, you got, like, I mean, there's a certain anonymity. The worst that would happen if you did that was, you know, they might show just before it on, like, BBC Two at 11 o'clock at night. But yeah, there's no anonymity in these, and I thank the Lord that I grew up in an era of anonymity, because if I had, I mean, yeah, game over. But I mean, going back to the original point, was I surprised about Saudi Arabia? I mean, it seems like a very.
This is what happens here. It's mad.
What happens
Yeah.
is
I'll edit it all together and make it look very cohesive, even though. Do you remember? I like it was just. But
yeah, so it was. Yeah, it was a surprise, but it was a surprise after Khashoggi, because when that happened, and you know, I was in. Then, as it happens, a year and a half later, I moved to Istanbul. You couldn't imagine how Saudi Arabia's reputation could be rebuilt after that. But they did it, and they did it through sport. And it was, you know, one of the reasons why I wrote the book was I interviewed Hatice Cengiz, who was the Turkish fiance of Khashoggi, and you know, she was left outside waiting when he went inside to get his documents so that they could get married.
She was
outside waiting for him. He never came back, and so you know, and it was just this harrowing story, and she can't really speak anymore as well, because one of the things that I write about in Engulfed is that Saudi money is so persuasive and pervasive that it means that like the Turkish economy is completely fucked, and they've had hyperinflation. Now the inflation's gone down a bit, but it's still 20, 30, 40%, which is absolutely crazy. President Erdogan needed Saudi money back, and obviously they'd fallen out massively over this because it happened on Turkish soil. Well, it happened on technically Saudi
that's so
soil.
annoying that the embassy. This random building in fucking Leicester is now Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
the absolute, you know, core of the modern wealth, the modern state is the idea that you could have these kind of things and the rules-based international order.
Well, that's gone.
So the Turkish economy is dependent on
so they had to turn around and say, actually, we need money from you in the current account. So when was it when Man City played in the Champions League final in Istanbul? Was it 2023?
2020, 2 years.
22, 23?
23, something like that.
And
when football ended, when City won the treble.
When they won the treble, and that's when Mohammed bin Zayed, who's now president of the UAE, was invited along to that. MBS had been rehabilitated, and now money's flowing from those countries into the economy. And then Hatice Cengiz and all the people who were furious about what happened were basically thrown under a bus. She couldn't speak anymore. She can't talk. Doesn't talk. Doesn't give any interviews.
Wow.
Because now it's inconvenient. At the time, it was convenient for Turkish politicians to use that case. Now it's an embarrassment, and so something that's completely brushed under the carpet. So it shows you the level of power. I think the most interesting thing about it all, though, is that, especially you know, but both of you obviously very interested in politics and how the world is when we talk about like how to change societies for the better, and often you get entrenched individuals. It doesn't matter whether it's an Islamic society or a former communist society in Eastern Europe, whatever. And they talk about like no, our people are conservative. We don't like, you don't want to bring in democracy. You don't want to bring in all these kind of alien outside concepts.
There's the very, like, when I've spent time in Georgia and stuff, and like it's a very sort of the thing of like Russians tell themselves that, oh yeah, like sort of Russians tell themselves, and then certain Georgian friends who run a Twitter account called Georgian Footy called Luca. It's not racist against Russians though, but it's sort of like you were saying before. As growing with a Polish mother, you know, that you sort of feel that Russia's coming for you, and it's been proven. Like Larry says, like it's just sort of like Russians tell themselves and sort of everyone in the sort of ex-Soviet sphere. When you speak to someone from like one of these places about Russia, like they go, "Oh yeah," like Russians will say about themselves that we don't do like not democracy.
It's not. It's
not a Russian thing.
It's not a Russian thing. There's some kind of cultural, like the idea of universal values don't exist. Right? The idea that these are somehow alien. The idea of human rights, democracy is somehow and if you're going to bring them in, we'll bring them in incrementally. Because we've got a very conservative population, and the Saudis pretty much since the 1930s have been telling themselves and others that like, you know, we're conservative. It's about incremental, small steps change. what if there's one positive that you can take out of 2015 and the King Salman becomes king and then Mohammed bin Salman eventually becomes crown prince, is that it's shown to be complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Because you can move as quickly as you'd like. I mean, there might be long-term consequences that haven't been seen yet. Because where are the religious police? Where are the Wahhabist, the fundamentalist element within society? They're tamped down. They're being repressed. They're being put out into the regions. Maybe that's something that will kind of explode later on.
Yeah.
But in terms of how
Inshallah,
young,
down with the
but then you go to Riyadh and you see how young people are kind of enjoying
the freedom.
Did you see that clip of the young people dancing at that concert? And they're obviously like they're not,
that's obvious. Like that's objectively a very good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous thing, but it also shows that like if you do that with culture, you can do that with politics. The idea that we can bring in all these things we said were evil, but now it's really important that we have them. Except democracy, you can't have that. Can't have you voting on what you want or political parties organising anyway. You can't have one without the other.
I think if you look at Yugoslavia is a very good example of obviously some of the worst Nazi crimes in that region, and then for 1945, bang, Titoism, bosh, have some of that, you cunts. And they're like, this is why maybe I think a reform government at the minute still looking very likely, but then 2033, Zach Palance. Luxury, gay, space, transgender communism.
Don't know. He'll probably be in jail.
Well,
imagine the hologram of Trump will still be in power.
Yeah.
Person, they'll get Kanye to get the same person who did Kardashian's father. Do you remember he did that birthday present?
No.
So Kim Kardashian.
The guy that got OJ off.
Yeah.
Oh,
the lawyer. He died obviously relatively.
No, he died. He died in like 2000s. Rob Kardashian.
Yeah, but he was quite relatively young, right? He was 50s. Yeah, he was early 60s.
Yeah.
But unless I'm completely misremembering this, or I dreamt it because I had a nap before I came out. I'm pretty sure he as a birthday present he got Kim Kardashian on stage and then had her dad appear as a hologram.
Oh.
And that might, to be honest, that might have been the beginning of the end of their relationship. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a kind of a marriage counsellor.
Nazism, fine. Dead hologram dad.
But he'll then get if Trump disappears, then he can just get that person and he can be president.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. So,
but yeah, I think what I did want to say about the book, I'll put that back in there where it was before. So as I said about David Icke, that David Icke, and as I discovered through excellent writer James Montague, he's here,
author of Engulfed.
That David Icke and Jim Hill were on the same Saudi manager. Some of the national Saudi. David Icke was like assistant manager or something of the Saudi national team.
I don't know if you got to that bit of the
Has
book.
he got a football background?
Yeah. He's a former Hereford and Coventry City goalkeeper.
Is he?
Yeah.
He
used to play a triangle.
Goalkeepers.
He used to play in a triangle.
Well, I'm trying to think.
Goalkeepers are all a bit mad.
I'm a goalkeeper, so I'm a part of that.
Yeah.
So
and I apparently am the mental one. There's some of the best spectrum in here I've ever seen.
I'm trying to think. So you've got John Paul II, Albert Campbell. Who's goalkeeper? Who's goalkeeper? Look, like my bumcher loves
But he's
him.
between the sticks.
There's a whole papal line of stickers that you can run. Football stickers.
My grandfather was a bit mad.
Yeah.
Was he a goalkeeper as well? So he played.
My Jadek, my Nanu.
Yeah.
He was a goalkeeper for Valletta and Floriana. Yeah. And
Big Al.
I'm thinking also of Peter Shilton.
Peter Shilton.
What at the Gamban event, one of the nicest men I've ever met.
Lovely guy.
Yeah, he's really
Lovely
nice
fella.
bloke.
Yep.
His missus wasn't very happy with me talking to him about football. She was a lovely woman, but Peter Shilton has to be within that conversation, within the 30 seconds I spoke to him. My favourite reforms. He's a really nice bloke. Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I don't because I was originally going to go up and do my fucking Irish patter of maybe can I get like a Diego Maradona mentioning, but then he was so nice.
The one to get is Terry Butcher because I'm pretty sure it's an own goal.
Yeah. Well,
the second one, it looks like an own goal, but he's determined to say that it was. I mean, if I could have said it's an own goal, I would have done. But I don't know if he really wants to have a World Cup own goal against him. But he looks like an own goal when you watch back that goal. But where were we at? What was the?
So just goalkeepers.
Oh,
being a bit
goalkeepers. So
crazy.
you got Albert Camus,
Jens Lehmann.
But Camus was a goalkeeper.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. There's a great book. Is it The Outsider by Jonathan Wilson about goalkeepers and about about there's a certain psychology that
I need
attracts
to watch
people.
that.
Because you have to throw yourself about. You have to spend a lot of time on your own.
You have to spend a lot of time on your own, and you have to. So the psychology, like you can make a lot of mistakes as a striker or a midfielder. The further back you get, the less mistakes you're allowed to make.
Yeah.
But you are not allowed. Like you carry. Like you can have a perfect game, but you'll always be remembered for the one error that you make.
Yeah.
I got stuck in that because I was 6 foot when I was like 10. So I thought I was going to be like in the NBA and that, but then I just stopped going. But so I was unbelievable because I was about a foot. I was like just them like FIFA memes where it's just like a 10-foot player.
Yeah.
Just fucking me. That was me for in the Northbury Junior Football League. 32 goals in a 12-game season. Golden Boot 3 years in a row. Never mind. And then everyone else caught up. And then so like I progressed.
You made the most of it.
I progressed further back. I was in midfield for a bit, like a very slow Pirlo-esque midfield. I'm not fucking running, mate. I'll put a ball over the top. No,
But I can have this one.
yeah, of course you can. Mate. I feel like I'm the lord of this. This chair conveys power. Yeah, but I was. Yeah, so and then I progressed further back. Never in defence. I was like, I'm not doing that. It was all you have to. And then our keeper fucked off, so you're gonna have to go in net. And then I used to get lobbed every game, despite being able to touch the bar like that.
Really?
Yeah. I used to get lobbed all the time.
Who's that player?
I can't jump.
Who lobbed you?
Just
Clearly, they should have had the contract.
I was just a really shit goalkeeper for like the 1 year before we folded when we were 7. I think also doing loads of ketamine until about 3 hours before kickoff was probably not.
Yeah. I had a similar
You need to
experience.
concentrate as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to concentrate. I had a similar experience. I played for like in Essex counties. Like there was no fans, but it was like a fairly high Saturday level, and I was brought in
serious. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I come in and we'd gone to practice at the start of the season. I went out the night before, got on it. And the next day it was in the rain, and I think we lost 6-1. Basically, I never trusted myself in that kind of scenario again. But going back to it, like David Icke he was front and center of Grandstand. So I don't know if you've ever watched the Terry Wogan interview that he gave.
No.
So basically he is imagine like Gary Lineker one day arrives on Saturday Kitchen. And declares
Saturday
that
morning
kitchen. And he says, "Yeah, do you know what? I'm the son of the Godhead." That's what you can find. You go and find it on YouTube. It's incredible. And he was he had some kind of religious, quasi-religious moment where then it's put him on this path towards believing in shape-shifting lizards controlling the world, and it's very conspiratorial. Wow. And in a way, he's kind of like in the modern sense of how people have embraced conspiracies. He's kind of like
the OG. Yeah, he's the reason you have to listen to somebody tell you aliens built pyramids at 4 a.m. Right, mate. Not really that bothered. Is your fella dropping off?
Yeah.
For a water, yes or no? Not asked.
David Icke, don't call me again. No, I'm not dropping off. Only psychedelics, no powder.
But yeah, I think that it's such a the way that everybody's becoming it's so pervasive. The fucking everybody believes things that were like when the first time I ever saw Alex Jones, it was like, this is funny. This is like
there was a modicum of truth in what he said.
Yeah, but it wasn't also the absolute mad stuff. It was like sort of 9/11 stuff at the start when but quite sensibly presented.
But even before then, I mean, there's like one of my. I mean, I love Jonathan Ronson. And he wrote a book called Them, which was Travels with Extremists, this was like 97, 98, I think it came out in 2000, 2001. And one of them was David Icke, And he started with the premise, like, is he anti-Semitic? Is he talking about, like, are the lizard people, does he mean the Jews?
Yeah.
And he comes out of meeting him and spending time with him and like, no, he genuinely believes they're lizards. Yeah. There's not some anti-Semitic thing, but, one of them, he meets Alex Jones in that as well. And is it the Bilderberg group, with this group that meets together?
Hotels
and Ronson goes with him. And it's like they go and sneak into this compound, and it is like
he's got a point here.
Politicians wearing owls' heads and burning effigies of owls and stuff.
It's like, even when he like talks about like Alex Jones talks about like chimeras, right, where they're like trying to fuse two different species to get organs,
make the frogs gay and. Yeah.
Well, just to get like for organs for transplant and stuff, it is happening. It's like a grain of truth in what he's talking about. But
like when he used to say
the nth degree,
like when he used to say about the government is controlled by fucking paedophiles. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
The fucking
I mean, like the whole
the Epstein files and Epstein Island, all of that was Alex Jones. Alex Jones talking about that years ago.
Although he has now switched. Not those people, not that paedophile scandal.
The QAnon thing of like the everyone's a paedophile except Donald Trump is so funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's mad. I mean, the whole thing about like with QAnon and all of this stuff is that, and when you kind of research into that field. Where I've kind of landed on it is that why it's found so many people have found the kind of home in that insane conspiracy theory is that you don't realise how pervasive or how prevalent, I should say, sexual abuse. Like there are so many damaged people out there who the reason why it strikes a chord is because people have experienced it, and I think that it's just the tip of the iceberg of what we know about how.
When you got like going on to like Savile and stuff, and you got like all the kind of there's some fucking like sort of when you see anything from that time, from like kind of like an old episode of the Top of the Pops or something. I wonder that's all does also make me laugh is like how much have they had to edit? On BBC 4 like 8 o'clock is Top of the Pops 1981. How much of this had to be? Whoa, get that out!
It'll be 3 minutes long. We've got Gary Glitter coming on later on. Jimmy Savile's kind of on there. There's going to be like this.
Rolf Harris.
Rolf Harris at number one.
Look, it's one of the things. Is like. Jimmy Savile.
Are we going to get cancelled for this now? Is it? There's an algorithm that just removes all Savile content.
Mossad, good.
Mossad, Savile, Epstein. Move on to Maxwell next.
Oh yeah,
But like, do you think that conspiracy culture has permeated like football culture to some extent? Like, just to bring it back to football. So I last season
the conspiracy against us. I thought you were gonna say.
No. No wait. I reflecting on it right now, looking back, I'm like, maybe I did overreact a little bit, but I was absolutely convinced that we were reffed in a different way last season. I was absolutely convinced.
Okay.
You will never see a red card like Declan Rice at home to Brighton ever again. You'll never see a red card like Leandro Trossard away to Man City ever again. Just give me some background music. But I think one of the things I was very frustrated in the game, and I was thinking, they've got it in for us here. I think probably because of Arteta, what he said. That it was a disgrace after Newcastle, and he got away with it. Probably rubbed them up the wrong way. But then I think what did it for me was I went onto social media and I saw all these Arsenal fans basically saying the same thing.
Yeah, like that's like a hive mind.
Yeah, validating my own like.
Insanity.
No, that's basically what it was.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it's a reflection of society. I think somebody worked out that you make politics more like football fans. Somebody worked out somewhere along the line, and I've been trying to get to the base of where this melding happened. I mean, you can look to I've forgotten his name now, but there was a kind of Republican Party operative who
Lee Atwater.
No. This is later. Went to Hungary, worked with Hungary in the early Orban, and worked out, a way of winning elections, like getting this 30% radicalising.
Is that Luntz guy? It's him,
is it him?
Yeah.
And so he's dead now. But I think
like mobilise the base, move the middle. Isn't it?
And so I think he's dead now. But he had a lot of acolytes, and they're all now within especially with the not just Trump, but within within the Polish right and all these other. And I'm convinced that somebody looked at football, looked at the polarisation of football, the conspiratorial nature of football fans, and said, we need to make politics more like that. That's the basis of how you win a populist.
But it is like operating
election.
on pure irrational hatred based on
tribalism.
Yeah.
Tribal vibes. That's it. And it works. It absolutely works. Like I've sometimes thought. I mean, unfortunately, we're separated now. My ex-girlfriend. One of the things we were together for 10 years is that. you know, we like I think I'm a nice guy. You know, we can sit here and talk about stuff. When I watch West Ham, like I'm literally saying, like I'm shouting at the referee, shouting things that I would never. I'm not even going to tell you the awful things I'm shouting at the referee. And she looked at me and she just went, "This is just toxic masculinity." And it was like, and it kind of, I was like, it kind of is, but I kind of need it. I need this, I need this, and
you do need it.
And I started thinking about
that meant.
It's a release.
It's that idea that there's
But it
something
doesn't
very.
stay in the football stadium anymore
No.
because of social media.
Because of
Exactly.
social media.
That's the difference.
But I think somebody looked at football and thought that is how you.
Politics
that's how you
should
should
run.
have politics. That's how you win elections. That's how you get people to run through walls for you, and they will believe the narrative that you give them because you're feeding their basis instinct about why the world is so unfair and why you've been denied what you think is your birthright or what you think should be given to you. And so I'm still scrabbling around trying to find out who the true.
I think it's definitely true as well, because like if you know like how quickly I found, like, because it used to be, right, and this is something I do still hold up, like a great example I think is Trent Alexander-Arnold to Liverpool, from Liverpool to Madrid, right?
Yeah.
Local lad, won everything, literally everything with the club after 20 years of derelict fucking winning fuck all. Since 2005 to, you know, and they haven't won the league since forever. And Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool wins literally every possible trophy, and then goes to Real Madrid's biggest club in the world, sort of historically, etc. If that happened, like, I don't remember, say David Beckham, it's a different circumstance, obviously, but like,
or Steve McManaman.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember. I remember when players left, sort of either from Middlesbrough anyway, or from like if that I liked to go somewhere bigger, was always kind of, oh well, you know, thank you. Now keep the memory. See you later.
Yeah, but that's where you're going to trigger Liverpool fans. Bigger.
I know.
Is Real Madrid bigger than Liverpool? That's what they would say. Why would you go to Real Madrid? I mean, you're at the biggest club in the world. Like,
I get that. That's fair enough. But what I mean is like, at the same time, would I rather live in Madrid or Ormskirk? Well, I would rather live in sunny Madrid.
You need to spend a bit of time outside, because I look at Lowestoft now longingly sometimes. Like I'm probably the only person.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of like
does that. But when you live outside of the UK, you do kind of like, you know, not dissing certain parts of the UK, but like there is an element of that
homesickness.
But with when it comes to,
I think my point was though, social media's changed to like where, you know, you're a traitor, you're a fucking. But
Rush went, he came back. It was only one season. Italy's a foreign country, as he famously said. He couldn't get on with it.
No one told him that before.
Yeah, no one told him that. Like, I couldn't. Do you know what? Italy's a foreign country. And he came back.
Ian Rush, by the way, if you're not aware, James, is in the Ballon divorce proceedings because he created an AI musical about a Surrey. He wrote a musical, put it to AI, because he fell out with a scaffolding firm in Surrey.
No.
That is true. That is
really?
Genuinely true, yes.
That's insane. That's probably the best use of AI yet. I now I understand. Take us, AI overlords. Right, I want to now write an AI musical to settle scores. Brilliant.
That's right. So
what were you saying? Sorry, I cut you off to talk about Ian Rush's musical song.
I think the tribalism and like the kind of, I don't want to say echo chamber. It's a bit. I don't think it does.
Echo chamber is exactly that.
Does it justice really? It kind of reinforces your own prejudices and your own feelings and sentiments, and you're getting validation all the time, like about how you feel about something.
And nothing's more polarized than a football match.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing is more polarized. There is. I mean, it's a draw.
And I'm getting like clips of refereeing decisions, you know, of the last 5 games, and I would never be watching it, and like it's slow motion, and like it's like the level of analysis on X and like on all social media that we're just, you know, I think it's very different to how it was.
Yeah.
You know, we used to just watch the games in the stadium, and then we wouldn't get any replays, or we'd watch them in
Match of the Day or whatever.
or we'd watch them on Super Sunday, and we'd analyse them for 30 minutes after, like watch the replays after, and then that would be it. You wouldn't even go on. There wouldn't be clips all the time.
And clubs releasing clips that also kind of like cement their narrative as well. So they're getting ahead of the they're almost learning from political strategists how to get ahead of the story.
So I'm absolutely convinced that Arsenal have anonymous accounts that have big followings that are insiders.
Yeah, of course.
That they feed.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Like just to kind of try and build narratives and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's political comms. That's what you do.
To go back to Saudi Arabia, who are so good at that, that's exactly what the troll farms of Riyadh are about, or the troll farms in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. That's they've perfected this model, and so it is social media it's an illusion. It's not real, and there's no greater example of that than when you go out, when you think of an issue, and you probably know this better than anyone else. There's an issue that you see that's online being talked about, and it's like a furious discussion on social media. You get out and talk to people. It's not an issue. Like it's just not an issue. It's just not an issue.
Yeah.
Like with real people, most people aren't connected to this.
The amount it does make you feel so alien. That I don't know where I've gone. Like something that's been sort of a big story on Twitter.
Yeah.
X on like, and then I say it to like people who I know are less like internet brained than me, and that you just feel so.
Like, what the fuck?
I think like.
And then you ask their opinion, and it's not the prevailing narrative.
Yeah.
Like
they're more measured and reasonable about it. And
And I think as well, like especially, I think this is why like the left has been fucked for ages, right? Because we've talked about this before, but like you say what the sort of not to the right the bullshit about you can't say anything these days is all a load of nonsense. You say whatever you want, but the as this has definitely proved.
We'll see what cancellation follows.
But the part like you can like where people I know where you would say because they've not been maybe seen the like Twitter culture thing of like we can't say you've got where a word might get pounced on that they maybe said that they shouldn't. Say like I don't know, so not even something that's like racist or something, or maybe something that could be construed in one way or another. And you go
clumsy
terminology, not but meaning to be offensive.
Yeah.
And then, but like most people that don't have and I think that's why there is now like a prevailing image of the left of being censorious because we're sort of there's a lot of us who are all too plugged in maybe. I think, and like go, you won't get away with that on Twitter. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
I do think it's like really difficult as well for the players now. Like, I mean, everything gets overanalyzed and scrutinized. Just a play. I mean, Lewis Skelly came on. I was at Arsenal Liverpool last week. Lewis Skelly came on for Hincapié, right? Who got injured. He was on the pitch not for very long. He probably only had like several touches of the ball. He actually set up a very promising attack, but the way that Arsenal were playing that day and the way that Liverpool had kind of set up meant that he couldn't find forward passes from the left-back position. The crowd got a little bit like agitated. It was a very kind of it's a difficult atmosphere that night because Arsenal weren't playing well. But the level of like vitriol he's had and the over-analysis of his performance, like he's hardly played. Like he's not had a run of games like he did last season.
He's only like now. He's only a young lad.
He's 18, 19. He's coming on. He's obviously trying a bit too hard because he's not getting the minutes, right? But
so he's only got less time to make an impact, etc.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the way that like you can be on a pitch for like a matter of minutes, you come off, and then the whole world is like attacking you. And your performance.
Imagine dealing with that pressure.
So difficult.
Imagine dealing with that pressure. I mean,
that's why Cole Palmer's the best in the world. He's like, what's X?
He has low key found the answer to social media pressure.
Yeah, fair play.
But I mean, you have to have there is a certain skill set you've got to have to do that. But like, I think that's it. And especially as a journalist who's interviewed football, I often say that football. I've said in the pub, no one cares. I'll tell my mum, she doesn't care. But football is the least interesting part about football. Like I love watching football, but I divorce watching football from what I write about football because usually I find that fans, owners, the money around it, the politics around it, are more accessible, more interesting. That's it, more accessible now. People complain, there are no characters in the game anymore. You can't have characters in the game. The moment you stand up No, you're going to be knocked down.
Yeah.
And that's it. And like, so why on earth would you be in charge of your own social media profile?
So it's
and
like,
say something that could be cancelled, could be this, could be that. Like, so you have a generation of sports people now who are kind of completely divorced from the public, and whose personalities you're never going to know.
Yeah.
Because
unless it's like someone like, I think that's why, like, it's why I've always loved Roy Keane forever.
Yeah.
But like, so yeah, I think you either have to have that kind of personality of like, I'll just tell you to fuck off.
But you've got to be elite level to get away with saying that.
Yeah.
You got to be performing at such a level. Who is that voice now? Is it anybody in football that's an interesting footballer, like genuinely, that's not a kind of cookie cutter kind of like, okay, they can speak.
Great 3 points today, lads. We go again next week.
But I think like the way Declan Rice speaks.
But that's what I mean. Declan Rice is the only one that I can think of.
Compare Declan Rice to Roy Keane.
Declan Rice is like, again, well, oh yeah, of course, yeah. Right, sorry, now I've got it. Okay, are you angry on my behalf as a West Ham fan? I'm like, no, okay, all right, well, England's number. Like, well,
my cousin's now, unfortunately, ex-husband did once. So I remember having the conversation for a good fucking 3 hours about. He was adamant, Arsenal fan as well, typical fucking clued up Arsenal fan. Declan Rice and Jack Grealish were going to be Ireland's future. Oh, well, unfortunately, Jack.
Bless him. But he's the prime example of it. Really, is that within the confines of what's acceptable, he's very, very good. Like, he talks well. He talks his clean cut, and he kind of, but he doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't have a personality outside of like the most charismatic version of the cookie cutter footballer.
And he gets absolute dog's abuse for having like not a typical wag girlfriend, doesn't he?
Does he?
Yeah. Oh,
this is why I'm not plugged into this.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've seen it anyway.
What do you mean not a typical girlfriend? What's that euphemism for?
Well, his girlfriend's like, she's a little bit like overweight and stuff, but she's not a typical sort of glamour model, basically.
Right.
And I have seen some horrific things, Vince. I despise him with every fibre of my being. It's like, right, come on, that's a bit fucking... that's a bit much.
I mean, Paul Scholes got it back in the day, didn't it? Because he had a normal... He had a normal missus.
Yeah.
and he got, but thankfully it was before social media, because otherwise that would have been absolutely terrible. But like, I didn't know anything about this discourse around Rice.
Wouldn't have found Paul Scholes at the Rio Ferdinand house parties. no camera phones.
Well, actually, speaking of like sort of, there was a, I won't say the name, but there was a football league manager that I bumped into at 5 a.m. in the pub on Saturday. The team
5 a.m. on Saturday, so like
5 a.m. Sunday morning,
9 hours before he was supposed to take charge of the game. Right?
It's long time after, and his team got absolutely fucking dicked, and he was in there chatting up birds at 5 a.m. Fair play. Did try to take a picture, and he went, "Don't." And I went, "Fair enough, mate."
You tried to take a picture in the toilets?
No, I wasn't in the toilets. Was in the thing. I went, "Oh yeah, mate, come here." I tried to do it sort of without asking, which I'd never do, However, the man's political views I don't agree with, so I thought, well, that's fine then. But I didn't in the end. I didn't get away with it.
Now. You're not giving me any clues.
Is it Paul Jewell?
They got absolutely fucking...
Do you remember that? Literally front page of the Sun. I'm not sure how you recover from that.
No.
I'm not sure how
I think the headline was Rampant as well, which I thought was quite good. And it was just a picture of him like just doing it.
It was just
whilst managing the team that got the worst season in history.
Until Rob Edwards. Although I think Rob Edwards is going to do all right.
They're on 7 points, which is disgusting.
Yeah, well, we gave them 3 points.
Yeah, I know.
Gifted them 3. Actually, they were brilliant. They've got that young English
forward
Mane. I've watched 2 games of him. He looks sensational.
Good player, yeah.
My favourite, to be fair, my favourite Wolves player is the 6'6" Nigerian lad. That is exactly the type of football manager. Arokodare, that guy.
Oh, right.
Yeah, absolute fucking unit. That's my type of striker. None of this fucking Tommy Conway bullshit 5'9" striker. You're not tall enough. Fuck off. Yeah.
So David Icke.
Oh yes,
that was a great meander through our minds. I think
I think my idea for this is I'm the Patreons,
There's going to be loads of good clips here.
There's going to be a ridiculous amount of book. £2 on Patreon. Patrons will see this all uncut because that's fucking. That'll take me. Like I've never done a mosaic before.
Are you going to put the front page of Rampant?
Absolutely
on Rampant.
But like, yeah, how did he come back from that? Like,
he didn't come back from that. I don't know. When do you ever see Paul Jewell?
Career-wise, has he not?
Paul Jewell's career is finished. Yeah, I don't think he managed a few lower league clubs, and then I don't think he's.
But we'll talk. There's again, not that I'm obsessed with John Ronson, but he did a book about So You've Been Shamed or something. What was the book about being shamed online?
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
I can't remember the title of it, but it was a brilliant book. And there's something like how do people pick themselves up after being so publicly humiliated that way? Yeah. And that's also like something the media.
And it's something that is you never get. It's never gone as well now.
It's never gone, and social media has kind of taken over. Like you could probably have a front page in the Sun. It wouldn't have the same resonance or power than it would if you went viral on.
Yeah, exactly.
On
you could
social
actually. It depends on like your profile, but you could theoretically rebut it as well. I mean, Paul Jewell, no, because that's bang to rights.
Yeah.
But like, there's things that you could they could try and ruin your reputation. You might have your own fan base or support base that will rally around you.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a very good point. Yeah.
I think Robbie Williams, like he got a lot of shit back in the day, right, by the tabloids. But actually, I think if it was now, he would have had lots of people supporting him on social media.
Yeah, but I think there's definitely an element of like, I think, like it depends what you're getting away with.
Michael.
It's like there's a lot of
Is
it sort of like human sort of fight like
yeah.
But like I think maybe back in the day, like Pete Doherty had it a lot worse than he probably would have done if it was now. Sort of like because of drug stuff
Kate Moss used to get like about doing gear.
That
would just get shrugged off now, wouldn't it? Really? You know, I think the standards have changed, but I think the context changed.
And look at someone like, as soon as something bad happens, the pivot towards
either Christianity or mental health.
or mental health. Like have you seen that? Johan Hari, you've seen that with, especially with what's his name, Russell Brand, Russell Brand,
that famous West Ham fan,
famous West Ham fan. And I used to love his column.
Superb dig that.
I mean, Christ, we've got. I think we've got Barack Obama as well. So it's a broad church.
Drones and rape.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
That's going.
Allegedly.
That's why. Allegedly. If you want to hear what I just said, pay £2
to your libel fund.
Fionn's legal fund.
Fuck that. I'll do an Ian Islop. He just gets sued. Fuck it. See what happens.
I think mainly. I'm not sure he gets half cut on a podcast and starts throwing around allegations against people. But maybe he does. I don't know. But like
Russell Brand. Fuck him.
But we started off talking about. Like David Icke being the godfather of all this in a way, and it was because I interviewed him for the book for Engulfed, because it turns out.
So I didn't get to that bit yet.
So we didn't get to that bit. So it turns out that he. So I was reading Jimmy Hill's autobiography, and Jimmy Hill was a bit of a trendsetter. I mean, problematic in many kind of ways, but like also was a kind of like reformist. I mean, he was in charge of like when he was a player representative, getting rid of the maximum wage in the 1950s. Was it 1960? But he was really like a progressive thinker within football.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he then had this company that he went and tried to bring like soccer to America. So he had a stake in a franchise over there. One of the things was he was in the mid-70s. He was given the royal family of Saudi Arabia gave him a huge amount of money to basically start proper professional football in Saudi Arabia. So he went out there, built a league, which eventually builds a national team as well. That eventually they win the Asian Cup, they qualify for the World Cup eventually in '94, and the roots of that was all built by Jimmy Hill.
That's mental.
And so when I was interviewing kind of older Saudi journalists and Saudi football fans, and they were like, they love Jimmy Hill. They're like this guy is one of the reasons why we're where we are. He put the roots. I mean,
like what Tony Blair, like what Tony Blair is to Kosovo.
Yeah.
They call him on Tony Blair.
Jimmy.
There's no like. Have you seen the Bill Clinton statue there?
Yeah.
Have
there's a Blair statue as well.
I've seen. There's Madeleine Albright, Bill Clinton, Tony Blair,
Is there
George
Tony
Bush.
Blair? I've never seen the Tony Blair one.
People have actually one of the most popular names in Kosovo.
Tony,
Yeah.
Tony Blair.
But the weird thing is when you see the Bill Clinton and you go and you see it in real life in Pristina. So I actually met
Pristina is the weirdest capital city I've ever been to.
It's kind of strange, but I've got a very I've
If
got a love
Cheetham
affair.
Hill was independent, I thought.
Better coffee.
Yeah, well,
It's got
good
great coffee, and it has a genuine Turkish sultan, Ottoman sultan, is buried on the outskirts
Oh wow.
of Pristina because I'm gonna forget the year.
Don't worry about it. It's not, I don't think.
But yeah, in the Battle of Kosovo, which is kind of
1389.
1389. It is 1389.
That's not. This was unfortunate jacket to be wearing. Serbia jacket.
1389. But I mean, it's also a foundational myth about Serbian nationalism as well. But yeah, so it was. I think it's Murad I was killed in that battle, and he was, rather than taking him back to Istanbul, he's buried in a compound outside Pristina. So you can go and see. There's bits of him in there, and I'm not sure if it's in there. But you can go and see it. And apparently during the war, the Turkish troops came in because we were talking about embassies.
Yeah.
This is considered Turkish sovereign
Oh,
territory.
really?
Yeah. So, but anyway, so how have we got onto that?
I don't know.
Bill Clinton, the Bill Clinton statue. If you go and see it, somebody's really fucked it up because they've got the perspective wrong. So his hand is twice as big as his face. So somebody made a really big error, and you can't unsee it after you see that. But so yeah, Jimmy Hill is like this is absolutely beloved in Saudi Arabia.
That's mad.
And I was reading his autobiography, and there's a lot of kind of needless to say, I had the last laugh type of isms in it. But
Bouncing back with Jimmy Hill.
Yeah, it really is. But
People bounce back, David Icke.
well, and then one of the things that it's only like a half a page. He goes, and I get this offer. I'm paraphrasing. I get this offer to go to Saudi Arabia. So I put together, because he's obviously connected to Coventry, and he goes, yeah, I put together a crack team of people to go out there to help me rebuild. One of those people was David Icke, and then it's like, he was only out there for a little period, but he couldn't handle the Muslim way of life or something like that. I was like, what was David Icke doing out in Saudi Arabia at that time? So I was like, okay, well, maybe I should write to him. And he's got this whole, the other thing is about having your own media network, your own publishing empire that social media kind of allows to do. He's also a kind of forerunner of that. He's
uncancelable.
He's uncancelable because he has been publishing books. You should get him on to talk about football. So I interviewed him, and he came back to me and he
Next
said,
week, David Icke.
Yeah, and it was like how what was strange was how reasonable he sounded.
Oh, really? So where did you meet him?
No, well, we did it on Zoom.
On Zoom?
He doesn't leave. I mean, he's in his mid-70s now. So, but I kind of suggested I'd like to come to your compound in the Isle of Wight.
Yeah.
And he politely told me. No, I think I called it a compound. I think he calls it a compound. But I just want to think of him living on a compound. But because his son. Is it Gareth? He's
the next gen.
He's the next gen coming through.
Yeah. Right.
Nepo conspiracy, baby.
Nepo conspiracy, baby. But we did this Zoom chat, and it was like we spoke for I think about 2 hours. And
was he convincing?
It was I tried to bring him out a couple of times on the issue of the shape-shifting lizards.
Because I think that's where he loses credibility.
That's where he loses. But his current.
I mean, there are some other things that you could think, okay,
yeah.
There's a grain of truth there.
Yeah.
I'll maybe do a little bit digging there, but then he just loses.
Yeah, the moon's not real.
You.
The moon's not real. The moon doesn't exist. That's the current.
Is that his current?
Has he never seen Wallace and Gromit? Grand Day Out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I should have asked that.
So he thinks. So he doesn't think. Okay,
the moon is placed there. It's some kind of a communication device, and it's not real.
That's his latest one.
Moon's not real, and so. But what was interesting talking about football and about going to Saudi Arabia, and it was all real, and him going there, and it seems to have been a kind of transformative, and lots of people have tried to psychoanalyze him, and I'm not trying to do that. When did it all go wrong? But it seemed to have been a moving experience to go to a country at a time where it was one of the most unfree places on earth, and then to come back from that living there, you have no communication with the outside world. This is the mid-70s. You haven't got the internet. You haven't got mobile. You haven't got phones in the same way. You haven't got any kind of way of contacting people. To be that trapped and that isolated in that place, and to see the power of religion, because there's one thing that is constant through all of his writing and his lectures, is that it's about organized religion. And that's the thing that whether it doesn't matter if it's Christianity or Judaism, whatever it is, Islam. So he's, talking to him, he was kind of like he didn't sound crazy. Like he did. If anything, the world has moved
towards him. Yeah.
Past him.
Oh,
So that he almost sounds moderate. Like if you go and see him, what he's saying on X now. Like I'm not an Ike stan by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not an Ikesman. Yeah. But it's more of a commentary on the direction of travel that the
world has
discourse. So if that one has moved, that David Icke seems like a moderate, and I think that's there's more about the world than it does about David Icke.
Yeah,
but he did play a foundational role. He explains going to a World Cup qualifier between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and of course there's centuries of issues between Persian and Arab side of the Gulf, and they'd been there, they'd been given all this money, and they lost the match, and he describes what it was like being there, watching that with Jimmy Hill. I mean, it was incredible to get that kind of level of insight from him. So as long as that was it. Like you should get him on to talk about his football career, because he did have like a really up until the Wogan experience, which you should find that clip. It's one of the most infamous clips of British television from the 1980s. Up until that point, it's like Gary Lineker, really.
It's like just a kind of household name.
Or like Jason Mohammed, or what's his name? Like somebody who's just on TV. Jeff Stelling, maybe like. Something
There's
like that.
been a pyramid for David.
There's another pyramid.
I was going to say Jermaine Genius, but I think that's probably it's quite plausible. Actually, you could go that path.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And don't get me on the ancient alien stuff. I mean, there's that's a whole different
So the Graham Hancock stuff I find very interesting.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of that's very plausible.
Well, but he's not
ancient civilizations. But I don't think he's what do you
So the problem with Graham, so I did for the delayed gratification. So living in Turkey, I went to visit Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah, right.
Which he talks about a lot, because Göbekli Tepe, which if you don't know is this series of megalithic structures that have been discovered really in the 1990s in the southeast of Turkey that completely rewrite how we think about the origins of civilization or whatever. I mean, even that's a loaded term. What is a civilization? But the idea of settling down and starting to build things.
Yeah.
We thought that we would have agriculture first, and then once you started having organized agriculture and surplus, people were doing other things other than hunting, gathering, and whatever. And that's when we started building objects that became big and for religion or what.
I mean, there are sites, Neolithic sites in Malta that are like 5,000 years old that have been built. The stones are huge. It looks like it's been constructed, right? Yeah. So it's amazing when you see it in person.
It's amazing, and the science of it is, and then people. We're talking about. I mean, I think we're talking about 12,000 years old. I mean, and what's Stonehenge is 5,000 years old. So this is, and when you see these, and they discovered that they were built there was no agriculture there. Oh. So these were hunter-gatherer societies that built these things for some reason, even though they were moving around. Somehow they found the labour and the resources to build these things. Graham Hancock has come across this and used it as a kind of way to explain his theories, essentially a kind of... Sometimes he moves into alien race kind of territory, but there is an unknown branch of human civilization
that was wiped out by
I think the Younger Dryas apocalypse, whatever it is, which he again, this is a brilliant case study when it comes to kind of how modern politics works, is that it's the experts that have got it wrong. The experts are hiding something from you. Big archaeology, we're just asking questions. And actually, archaeology and science is all about asking questions.
Yeah.
Right? No one, if it was scientifically proven that you could find something that takes back civilization 5,000 years, no one is stopping you from doing. That's the whole point of scientific discovery. But he's built his whole career.
It's the woke, actually, James.
Isn't his whole kind of narrative that when he brings this up in those circles, he gets knocked back, but he doesn't understand why he's being knocked back.
But he doesn't understand how, because he uses selective evidence. So he's going back and saying that there's places in Indonesia, for instance, that go back 20,000 years that prove that there was an advanced civilization here that couldn't have existed, that science can't explain. But then you go to the scientists and say, well, there's no evidence that this is 20,000 years old. There might be rocks around it, because with how have we got onto this?
I
But
don't know.
with
Not even taking any drugs either. It's
Yeah.
mental.
that you know of.
No.
Prehistory is all about reading the soil and the rocks. There's nothing written. There's nothing. So there is a certain amount of conjecture about it, but like the scientific leaps that he's making to explain his theories are not credible for scientists because they say, well, this doesn't really explain it. Like maybe it's a good avenue to discover. He sees that as shutting down, silencing the woke mob. Don't believe in experts.
So I
that kind
think
of thing.
like I can see why maybe big tech or mega corporations might try to silence something, but what is big archaeology?
What is-
Are they trying
Yeah.
to profit? What are they profiting from?
Yeah, it's like the flat Earth one, isn't it? It's like, and there's a great one.
It's a NASA conspiracy.
A classic thing that I'll put in. Have you ever seen Lee Griffiths be accosted by a Celtic fan in the street?
No.
It's so good. He's like car window. Lee, you ever heard of that flat Earth, pal? You ever heard of the flat? No, mate. It's just like, what's this?
Did he look guilty?
But right, mate. So why, well, you know water's flat, right? Earth can't be a ball, then, can it? Water's horizontal, mate. What? What did he say?
Is this real?
Yeah. This is a real video. Yeah.
Does he turn him on the?
No, he's just going, all right, mate, enjoy. but like.
Drives off over the horizon, you know. Continuously rising.
Why can't I see it?
But like it's like flat Earth, like because I had a mate who started to fucking go down that way
Flat
10
Earth,
years
flat
ago.
Earth.
Like yeah, and I was like, he kept trying to tell me at fucking 3 a.m. that actually like the Earth's flat, mate. It's like right, okay. Why is this okay, you've explained the thing to me.
Yeah.
What is the goal?
Key Bono. who benefits from this? Like you can see, even the moon landing, right? You can say, all right, I can see what the motive would be.
Yeah.
for the moon landing
Soviet
conspiracy.
space race, etc.
Yeah. But like some of them, I just think like,
What?
Why are they
There's
keeping
no-
this from you?
yeah.
So I did think, right, quickly, go over some chants that I've heard recently.
Oh,
go
great.
back to and like sort of ultras groups that have got phenomenal names. So my favourite one of recent times was obviously every English club sings the sort of X place is a shit. X is a shithole as well. Twitter, it's a shithole. I do want to go home, but that song, Somewhere's a Shithole, I Want to Go Home, which is as a Middlesbrough
Or over land and sea and
which is as a Middlesbrough fan who's not from Middlesbrough, so I'm not too well versed to say this, but objectively speaking, not the best because of Thatcher, deindustrialisation, etc. Not our fault. Same for Manchester, is a place where I grew up. Shithole. But like it is, you know, most places I've been on aways, you can go. Your place is also shit because of Thatcher as well. But the funniest one of recent times when Villa were away in the Champions League to Monaco, and you've got a load of lads from Birmingham chanting "Monaco's a shithole."
Brilliant.
Oh, so good. And there's Fulham last week. I was away at Fulham. And I think it's like Fulham have gone so much up in my estimations because I thought obviously my righteous bigotry as a northerner being
you think our Fulham, Hugh Grant supports.
I just hate anything that's, you know, a symbol of the oppression of my ancestors, you know.
Right. And Hugh Grant is the
yes.
is the epitome of that. He's a king rat of the oppressors, you know, avatar of English colonialism in Ireland. You know.
But like the good friend of the podcast, Aidan, and his Fulham associates, call I think half jokingly, but it does exist if you Google it, the Putney Skull Patrol.
The Putney Skull Patrol.
Like as an ultras group, so it's like such an unthreatening place. It's so good.
It sounds like a vet that specialises in trepanning kind of chihuahuas. You know,
the best food I've had at a ground is to Fulham is now second because that was a gourmet experience.
Oh yeah,
yeah, Fulham hot dog. Ooh, gosh, well, I didn't usually get food at the football, but I have discovered leave the drugs till after, and it's a bit more of a pleasant watch.
It turns out that you are hungry.
yeah.
But I mean, nothing. To be honest, I mean, if you go to German football grounds, that's where you get the good beer. That's where you get the good scram. Like that's really good. That's great. Some good pork, some good
like we are so like as you know, as you
drink at
see.
your seat, always seat standing. And
yeah.
like,
So that's brilliant about. I've been to the Allianz a couple of times. I've been to the San Siro. Like, just treat you like adults.
They do treat. I mean, Germany's a bit so often, and this is something with. Sorry, yeah, with.
It's like, what if Hillsborough never happened?
Yeah, exactly.
And there was no Taylor review.
But if there wasn't, then there would have been. I mean, there would have been a reckoning when it comes to the state of English football and English football stadiums.
True.
At some point, so if it wasn't,
But not
Hillsborough,
it's more. It's just that it's also obviously the Hillsborough stuff, but it's like the mass corporatization.
That's the thing, because one of the things, I mean, you have this 50+1 rule in German football where German football is organised on the basis that essentially an organisation that's democratically elected has to own 50+1 of the
shares,
club, of the shares. There are some exemptions from it, but.
RB Leipzig and
they get around, or like a lot of companies that used to be a lot of teams that used to be teams for like works teams. So like used to be a factory team, like there's VW like Wolfsburg, Bayer Leverkusen from the pharmaceuticals. But because they put that in place at the start of the 21st century, it means that like normal fans actually do have, and so like. Board members, companies, sponsors just don't have the same power. So ultras do have power in the stadium. Not only if they don't like something, they can then show what's going on through chants and through protests and through banners, and it works because it still is a very successful league. But it means that the entire experience around it is geared towards the fan.
Yeah.
So you have safe standing. You have the ability to drink beer in the stadium, and it's good quality beer as well.
I think what rings true, like what rings truest about places like we talked about Sweden before, like
Sweden's one of the best places in the world to watch a football match. Absolutely incredible.
Like I remember, like just
Up the Hammerby Massive.
But like, Kim Elberg, yes, well, Hammerby boy. But the thing being is just like they understand it's understanding of what football is about properly. For the football, it doesn't matter if it's shit.
Yeah,
it's like it's supposed to be about the fucking. You go there with your mates, you have a fucking good time.
There's a independent journalist, Miguel Delaney, has written a book recently, State of Play, and he's written a lot about this, about how football, and I write about it in Engulfed as well, about. Football was never meant to be this important in people's lives, right? Yeah. The whole point of it as a working class sport was that it was a distraction. It was like, this is something we do on a day off. We don't want to think about what's going. It's just fun, something to do, really enjoyable thing to get everyone together, a cathartic, beautiful
more
thing.
point for he actually missed 4.1 of his crosses on the foot. Oh,
yeah, it's become the most important, unimportant thing in.
It's gone beyond distraction.
Yeah,
it's still.
That's why I hate the stats people so much. It's anti-life
because it's still a distraction. But it's so like you go to the game, you forget about everything in your life for a couple of hours, you enjoy yourself. I think that still persists, but
you abuse some people from 10 minutes down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's perfectly acceptable to do that and all that kind of stuff.
That's where it should be. That's the place for it as well.
But I think now it has become so central culturally, so central, like to identity, people's life. People like living for the game at the weekend. They don't even go; they watch it on telly or whatever.
Yeah, right? That is just so insane.
And then they just talk about it every day, and it's like.
If I don't,
as a football kind of journalist, you probably, but it's your job.
I live outside. This is the thing. I'm the dirty secret. I'm terrible about writing about football.
About the actual
game football. There are people who do incredible, like Barney Ronay does great match reports for the Guardian. Some people think, oh, it's a bit high. I love reading whenever he writes about a match. It's brilliant. I don't have that skill. I've written a few match reports in the past. The plodding bollocks, and it's
3-hour podcast, mate.
But I think do you think it's generational though? Like, do you think that there's a lot more like younger people, obviously, have grown up on social media, grown up online, who get so much information about football, about like the tactics and systems and patterns of play, and they just become like obsessed with the technical side of the game, and they're not really embracing what you were talking about.
Well, it's the James Richardson, right? So that we're obviously in a 1-3-1-2. Do it. There you go. 1-3-1-2 among the ultras. Way the best football book. I'm not saying that to wank you off, but you know it is. Imagine
what would happen if a third Stella went down.
The Watford Travel Lodge. I'm a bit worried about that.
But so the point being is like in Italy and stuff. Whenever it the James Richardson thing of like. Absorb the culture, sit there, have a coffee, and some of my best experiences, full stop, have been like when a load of Palermo, like I went to Palermo in February, random, because my mates were going to go to like some fucking festival thing in Berlin, and like it's like house music. Do you want to go? No, I don't. Thank you very much. Go away. And then it's been
Berghain. You going to that?
No, some weird. It was just after COVID, and then because that got cancelled for you know. The woke mob and pandemic rules and stuff and all that. So they went, actually, we've rebooked it. We're going to go to Sicily. Do you want to come? Oh, yeah, sound. Went to Palermo, went to a random game. They were in the fourth. It's the year after they won the Serie B, won it by about 20 points, and then went, we found out ridiculous corruption. You're going down to Serie C, whatever. So won the league, back down. As they're playing against a team that brought absolutely no one, because obviously it's on an island, all this kind of stuff. And like these random blokes just come up to it. Like my mates were all wearing shorts. It was like 2nd of February. I didn't because I'm normal. But all of them come up and go, this one bloke just ran up and just like pointed at my mate's legs. Hey, okay, what's it like? And all this shit. It's like amazing. And then we end up spending all day with them. Getting pissed with them, bought us pancetta butty after pancetta butty from the fucking
best. See, that's proper football food.
Yeah.
That's proper football food. But there is like, and I love those football experiences. I'm not too like against the idea of like people being really nerdy about football. Like it's quite like let people be nerdy about like.
I do want to understand.
You are like because when we went to Millwall, Middlesbrough, and then I went because again Northern geography. I went, you live near there. No, do you want to go? Yeah, all right. And then like you go, oh well, if he does this, it's like, mate, I'm not asked. Tommy Conway's a cunt. Why's he playing?
No, I could see what was happening.
You have got a very good football brain.
I thought I could see what was happening. I thought you would, you were going to win the game, and you were.
And we missed it, but I missed every goal.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's why you need to leave the drugs till after.
Yeah.
The point I was trying to make was that like I still enjoy watching football, and I kind of try to separate it from writing about it. Like I don't really write about West Ham. Like I still get annoyed by it. It's about my family, but my relationship with my dad is a lot of it through West Ham.
Yeah,
and talk about it in Engulfed about Newcastle fans trying how they can't really remove themselves from a club, even if they're ethically against.
It's exactly the same with my dad. Like when I go to watch Arsenal with him, he's not. He wants Arsenal to win. He can't pronounce the players' names. He loves Arsenal. He's always loved Arsenal. He wants them to win. He likes certain players. But if I start talking like a kind of football nerd, he doesn't know what I'm fucking talking about. Yeah. So but that's great. He enjoys the experience, I think, and like he's still supporting the team.
I think that's definitely again maybe generational because like your dad would have grown up going, like we said before. His total consumption of football would have been at the game, and maybe match of the day if he gets
or the newspaper, maybe the pink, like the afternoon newspaper that came out like after the game.
The pink slip, the
exactly.
Thing,
I kind of envy it really.
Yeah. I think we're getting very sort of Ted Kaczynski. Everything we're going like.
Well, we haven't even gone like we didn't even finish what we're talking about with Göbekli Tepe.
Oh, go on, Göbekli.
So we want to get Kaczynski Unabomber style. Because by the way, I would say go and visit. Have you been to Göbekli Tepe?
No.
Like you can get really cheap flights.
Where is Göbekli Tepe?
Göbekli Tepe is southeast Turkey. So you have to you go to Urfa, which is you go to Istanbul and then you fly. There'll be daily flights to Urfa, really cheap, and then you stay there and then you get a car. They'll drive you out there, and honestly it's one of the greatest things you'll you'll ever see.
You should have done that when you went Turkey.
Yeah, well,
What did you do in Turkey?
what did I do?
What did you do in Turkey? So I want. So you got a.
I've got. Yeah.
Because it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's all right. I thought we had this discussion last week where I went bald at 25.
Yeah.
And I'm now totally grey by 20. I went grey last year, but it was by 28.
This is just for men.
Yeah, no, that's just the remnants of the last time I did it, like 6 months ago.
Right, so you have to keep going back and getting it re-topped up.
No, I don't have to go. Not this job. This is fun.
I mean,
but I'm just saying, just genetically, I'm fucked. no look whatsoever.
Well, it's pretty. I mean,
but you suit being bald. My head's too big.
Well, I didn't know that until I shaved it in Turkey, and then I got to the point where I saw
Turkey.
In Turkey,
Yeah, you went
so
bald.
many. I went there.
It's like a protest.
Actually, I shaved my head in lockdown in Essex, in Lowestoft. So I was stuck in long story. I was stuck in Lowestoft, waiting to get to Turkey, and I was with my daughter at the time. So my ex-partner and me were separated. It was quite a difficult time, but I shaved my head, not because of that, but I shaved my head, and when I got there, I saw so many people coming over with the bands over, and in the end, I was like I do appreciate at 25, it's a young age I can see it, but at that point, I was like, I'm 40, I've kind of been battling against it in various different ways for pretty much 15 years. And it was just this amazing cathartic experience to shave it and to be like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I was determined to be the fucking only person that's going to turn up in Istanbul bald and leave. and that's what's happened, you know. And I'm going back on Saturday to see my fiance, who's desperately trying to get me to have Botox. So maybe I'll go for that instead.
Next time
I come back, I'll have been infected with botulism.
We'll get your lips done, and then and then
between us, it'll be like the three monkeys,
and then we'll get a contract on ITV2.
Yeah.
There we go. Way
on Love Island.
Yeah. But like we're saying about just fucking general life experience, it is. Like, so again, this another autism that I don't think I've explained fully. This does go back to my gambling career. So in lockdown, there's no football on, obviously, other than the Belarusian league.
Belarusian league was on, yeah. They kept that going.
Vitebsk, great. They have a really communist inspired. It's great.
And a little bit of they kept it going in Serbia for a little while.
They did,
until the cup final was like a mass. COVID infection event. So they quit after that. So they kept it going for a little while.
It was like Cheltenham, the last 2020 Cheltenham fight. It was just the worst possible thing you could like.
Well, the one thing that happened with the pandemic is I was in England because 1312 was being released, and it was my first book. And I'm a freelancer. I've didn't have any contacts in journalism or publishing. So I kind of built it all myself, and this was like my first book with Penguin. It was fucking like the big moment. And they had like thousands of copies of the book printed up to go into W.H. Smith's. And so I was like, it's going to be there. It's going to be one of those books that you come through, you know, like those kind of drug lord books. And be like, oh, this is it. This is like, I've kind of made it. You know, this is, you know, waiting for it. And literally the day I get, like the day it comes out is the day everything shuts down.
Oh.
Every bookshop in the world, every airport in the world. And to this day, I still don't know where those books are.
Oh, really?
So I think there's like a partridge pulping somewhere.
They're in my house.
You found them cheap on eBay. Somebody found boxes
James,
of them.
come round.
And you put off your top and there's a tattoo of it like on the front. The pandemic kind of like just absolutely like that was it. It was kind of So it was all right in the end.
Literally like. The one thing that could have scuppered all of that is a
global pandemic, you know, or me being cancelled for something really fucking horrible. But like, you know, luckily that.
But even then, you'd get the backlash audience. It's literally that.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, it's good marketing.
Yeah. Well, is it?
Nothing worse. One thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. Right? So,
there you go. But the team. So there was that for a bit. And then it hits summer, and we're going, right, I'm inside all the time, fucking nothing to do. And it's whatever month it was. But then I found Japanese football. The Japanese league, 1 and 2, is the greatest viewing experience. Like
So I only knew Nagoya Grand Passate because of Arsene Wenger.
Oh, and Lineker.
Oh, and Lineker played.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that.
But I fell in love. Like, goes back to my now defunct gambling career. Thank you, Matthew. Gamban. If you want to not do your bollocks and have a life and be able to function, because I was incapable, download Gamban and sort your fucking life out.
That's brilliant, by the way. Just clip that. Just clip that. Segue,
By the way, I've been to Nagoya Stadium. I remember,
Oh yeah.
but not to see Grand Passate. I went. The Club World Cup was out there when it was like a
when it was the non fucking corporate one.
and it was Hiroshima versus Al Ahly from Cairo, and I was with the Al Ahly ultras.
That's so mad.
From Egypt, and they travelled over, and I mean, I can't really talk about the best story about that. There was just one that was amazing, but we went to Nagoya, and Nagoya is just my favourite city in Japan.
Yeah.
And Tokyo's just massive. It's really
I went earlier this year to Tokyo, Osaka, and I told him I was going, and he was like, "Can you just go
2
down
hours out of your way.
get me a shirt?" And
Yes,
I didn't make it.
Mito Hollyhock.
Yeah.
I want to, but like the reason I do like them, I'm sorry, Matthew, but I want
Mito Hollyhock.
Mito Hollyhock, who got promoted for the first time.
Oh, they
this
did.
year.
They got over the line
champions up the fucking Dragons.
because they were miles ahead, weren't they? And then
We were 14 points clear at one point.
It's not we until we see the tattoo.
No, it's gonna after it's coming. No, it's the off season. Still got time to get it, as I promised I would do. I was bargaining when we were on a 5-game losing streak. If you get promoted, I'll get a tattoo, Mito. Come on, don't lose to them. But yeah, champions. $5,000 in a month I won. I blew
Really?
it off, yeah. But every single time was a Mito Hollyhock, either 96 Summit equaliser or like 93rd minute winner, and I went forever. And then I found out, really weirdly, like in ex-industrials part of Japan, nobody goes there because it's shit. And they've got the biggest Kashima Antlers is up the road, big rivals, bigger team up the road.
Huge team, yeah.
This is very parallel.
Where are they? Where are they now?
So they've got promoted to J League.
into the Prem.
So next season.
Yeah, Barclay-san.
So
what's Nagoya like? Is it like
Nagoya,
Kyoto?
I didn't go to Kyoto, but it's like kind of it's a smaller city. So I just found, I think also it might be because it was my first experience in Japan. So we all went and met in Nagoya. So we got to Tokyo, then went to Nagoya, and it was a smaller, much more self-contained, explorable place. Like Tokyo's really quite intimidating.
Yeah,
and it's a bit like Paris. Like you don't really ever know whether you're in the right place in Paris. Like you don't really. You always feel like,
Which arrondissement am I in it?
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say this.
You thought about an accent and nearly
Really thought about like Uwe Lagar, but I'm just going to do it in an Essex accent instead. But it's like you always feel like the party's somewhere else, and it's a bit like that with Tokyo. It's beautiful, but there's a disconnection to it. Whereas just rolling, I think maybe also because I was rolling around with some really good Egyptian friends. We were a very odd bunch to be rolling around Nagoya when it was snowing during this game, and we went to the football, and then Al Ahly won that game as well. So with Mohamed Abu Treka, I think he even scored in that game.
Yeah, the Egyptian, the legend, which is
Egyptian
in
legend.
When Friday Comes.
Yeah.
Many stories.
Yeah, many.
There you go.
But
The
yeah, but
amount
it was-
of advertising we've done, I think, is this is good. This
Just
Yeah,
beautiful, beautiful, compact, and it was just something that that's 15 years ago now. Okay, you're gonna make me sad
yeah.
recalling this.
Yeah, but
before the Club World Cup sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it was a real tournament.
But as I've just done some accidental pro bookie propaganda, I did blow all of that money, and I'm now deeply in debt. But don't gamble.
One bet too many.
Yeah. Well, about 300, but 1,000. But what I did want to ask both of you on was two things that I've seen on X, Twitter, not called X, Rainbet is, and then these cunts, right?
Yeah, that's a crypto casino.
So there's the two horsemen as well of the, I think of the, and other, as we've talked about social media, and two other horsemen of the football apocalypse, as well as Thatcher and everyone else, is Fabrizio Romano, I feel, and rainbet.com.
I'm not sure. I mean, is Rainbet part of this kind of pig butchering crypto scamming thing in Cambodia?
I don't know about that.
Oh, I don't know
Have
about
you heard
that
this
either.
phrase, pig butchering?
No.
Okay, maybe we'll get the lawyers to look after that.
Oh, right, I see, okay.
Before I work out where Rain better from, is it like you say, any
It'd be like
Cambodian connections?
It's an unlicensed like crypto casino,
Yeah.
right? And they do this kind of marketing where they'll like sponsor people's posts, and then people will like Stake used to do it, right?
Yeah.
Where like people would put like a meme up and then put the Stake logo on it.
Yeah, that was that, but that was again like, you know, when like sort of not to go to for a grand analogy here, but Venezuela, the falling apart of the international rules based order, when that started happening with Stake ads on just like a picture of like, oh, Meghan Markle wore this dress today, Stake gamble responsible.
Yeah.
So like this is
Well, the one
insane.
that got them was the clip of Bonnie Blue at Nottingham Trent, and that had a Stake logo on it. And I don't know if Stake even knew that one of the kind of people that were doing the marketing for them was using the Bonnie Blue clip, but that got complained about, and then Stake withdrew from the British market. But they're still sponsoring Everton. So we effectively have an illegal gambling site being sponsored in the Premier League.
It's because it's the shop window, innit? It's the like, where was it? It might have been Wolves, it might have been Palace. It was someone who had a Premier League team anyway that had like a sponsor it was a betting site that you could only get on in like Macau and stuff like that.
But you should still have a license to advertise. If you want to advertise in Britain, sponsor any Premier League team or whatever, you have to still have a license, even if it's through a white label. And Stake just basically withdrew from the white label arrangement that they had, I think with TGP Europe or something. And nevertheless, they're just advertising. The advertising of illegal gambling has been permitted. Yeah, no one's done anything about it. It's just this kind of like Emperor's New Clothes moment. So like Philippe Auclair's done
with
Josimar,
they do loads of great stuff on this,
on the white labels and everything. Yeah. It's just a lot of like really dodgy people.
Well, like people
using
like
the Premier League as a kind of shop window.
But you get like even sort of the story of you know, where Tony Bloom, who's like, because he's so like the fucking, he's this air of shrewdness. His horses do tend to win. But like he sponsored like Hearts. I thought was like this great fucking feel good stuff. They've come out and no, it's Tony Bloom. Yeah. So
I mean,
the multi club ownership of like USG in Belgium, and
he owns loads of online casinos as well. Tony Bloom, right? And that's people say, oh, he's a poker player. I mean, that was what he used to do. He's made most of his money with online casinos and with white labeling them and like all that kind of stuff. So there's so much gambling money in football, and you know, Denise Coates obviously owns Stoke, Bet365. It's just, I think it's so inextricably linked now. But what we can do is we can stop the illegal sites advertising in Britain, but we don't seem to care about that.
Stoke as well got away with a fucking having this reputation for a great away following. I found out they pay for the buses for free.
Do they?
365, which is quite good.
That's
That's
good.
good.
That's
That's good. That's good. But also, you've cheated. Still.
No, that's good. So I just think the Premier League has become so powerful as an entity that lobbies government to protect the gambling industry.
But
protect their kind of influence and the flow of money from the gambling industry into the league, and even like when it comes to things like advertising. So when the government did a gambling review, they looked at gambling advertising, and the arguments that the Betting and Gaming Council made, the gambling industry lobby group, weren't very convincing, and they didn't really get much like kind of a foothold. But the thing that the government was worried about was the broadcasters, the media, Premier League, professional sports. That was the reason they didn't do anything about gambling ads, and that's why you ended up with this kind of self-regulation, which is coming in next year, where they can't have the logo on the front of the shirt, the gambling logo, but they can still have it on the sleeves and or around the pitch.
I think you'll start seeing some very interesting like
silk cut type, like when they cut. But
I think though as well though, like again, this might happen in 20 years, right? I don't know, but like I was there again nerdery for autisminess for F1, which is an undeniably Tory sport, but I'm allowed one. It's all right. It's fine. Let me have one.
Dan lacrosse.
Yeah. And yeah, I do like to go and play polo with, you know. But like Marlboro sponsoring Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
And I think that may have been an influence on my when I went to Ghost to start smoking. That like when I got about 10 years old, I went,
Which brand should I go for? Maybe Marlboro.
Well, that's what I'm saying is in like
Yeah.
20 years, are we going to have, if there's nothing done about it, are we going to have like an even worse generation of fucking gambling addiction?
There is, I mean, if you look at, in
Like,
Europe.
do you remember fucking Unibet sponsored whatever?
But other European countries are, they're famously, you get English clubs go and play in European matches in France. They have to cover up all their gambling logos. So there are,
and even like it used to be beer sponsors as well,
Yeah,
didn't it? When they, Liverpool had Carlsberg, and they had to. Like,
Everton Chang, iconic kit.
but so alcohol sponsorship and so alcohol sponsorship is going to go the same way as cigarette sponsorship, and it's
pour some of that.
oh yeah, and
socialism.
Gambling is already being dealt with. The main problem is that the as much as like it doesn't really make sense if you look at the revenue. Okay, broadcasters are absolutely dependent on this money. Football clubs don't really. Like, there are other avenues to get that. That is prime advertising real estate.
We had an analysis done in the gambling review, and it was like about 4% of the Premier League and Championship overall spend on like wages and transfers. Like 4% of that is the amount that gambling companies
Put in.
contribute. Basically.
What's that compared to other industries though? Like other advertisers, is it double what other advertisers, or is it on a par with what other advertising industries are putting into football? Because that would be the interesting statistic.
It's actually so you've got the big clubs who don't tend to take the gambling because they can get massive corporations to spend way more, but at the lower end of the league and in the Championship, like the non-Premier League teams.
I think
the gambling sponsors will pay more than what they would otherwise get. That's the difference. Yeah. But it's actually football clubs that spend what they earn. If they don't get as much from the sponsor, they'll just spend less.
Most of them spend like which is obviously a problem in football when you've got like like the transfer fees are obviously mental, and then like because I remember it used to be I used to see a signing for obviously Middlesbrough, probably why we ended up going down, but like in the fucking like early to like mid 2000s, like 5.5 like I think was it like 5.5 million was like a standard like top 10 Premier League signing of like a big signing of the window, and now it's like 180 million for some.
Yeah,
cunt you've never heard of.
I think we have the same conversation all the time about different. I think we're having the same conversation about the price of beer earlier. I think it's just a memory that we had. This is like natural inflation. This is the way. This is the way it is. You can't get a pint.
It's not the same. I don't like it.
Can't get a pint anymore in a Weatherspoons. Pint and a bit of beer and burger for £2.
Yeah, you can't even sign a top striker for
15
million. You can't even sign Alan Shearer these days for 15 million.
But I think though as well though but it seems to not matter anymore, right? So it used to be like how much money have Chelsea spent, for instance? Like if that was City at the start of when they got all their money and there was no like financial fair play rules, if they'd have spent the same amount of money as Chelsea did on shit, they'd probably like the Abu Dhabi lot would have gone, fuck this, we'll go just do it somewhere else, or we'll just cut our losses and go.
And the Saudis almost. I mean, there's a mention is at the end of Engulfed, which is that the Saudi ownership was trying to get out of Newcastle at one point. They were thinking, is it worth it? We can't. What was clear is that when it took a long while for the Premier League did not want to approve this. They've already got one. Essentially, they claim that this is a private ownership for Sheikh Mansour, but effectively the influence and the power of Abu Dhabi as an emirate and the UAE as a state is brought to bear whenever there's an issue that needs, of them being regulated. So you have Khaldoon Al Mubarak, for instance, who's the main figure at City Football Group. He's also one of the main people within the Abu Dhabi and UAE government who within when speaking to cabinet members at cabinet level in the UK will make demands about not just about what's happening with politics, but also what's happening about Man City and certain other things.
So I want to ask, because I'm an Arsenal fan,
Yeah.
what do you think's happening with the charges?
I have no idea.
Do you think it's been? Do you think it's been?
Please.
Do you think it's been delayed because they're very influential and it's a state?
There
right?
is no, you cannot. And this is the reason why in golf. I've got to stop doing that. There's the opening. We had to go to Netflix to get the rights to use the quote at the beginning, epigraph, where I said there's a great. House of Cards. There's a great scene.
Oh, the Frank Underwood thing.
Frank Underwood, and there's a great scene where I think it's the businessman Raymond, who's got like the Chinese interests, and he thinks he's got one over on him. He's got like all this money, and he thinks he's actually got. I think he's vice president at the time, but actually it's Frank Underwood that wins, and he says, Raymond, you might have all the money in the world, but I've got all the men with guns. That's where real power is. So you can have. This is why Saudi Arabia was essentially why I think why the Premier League was trying to stop Saudi Arabia or the PIF, which is essentially the Saudi state, from owning Newcastle United, is because they already have within the Premier League structures an entity that is uncontrollable because it's a state. Essentially, in reality, it is a state-run club. All the people who run Abu Dhabi run the football club. The people that run the image campaign around Abu Dhabi run the image campaign around Manchester City. So it is impossible to regulate Manchester City without destroying. It's above the Premier League's pay grade, so they can't really do anything because what happens? They'll just threaten to take out investment. The UAE government will take investment out of Britain, which is exactly what happened. The threats that were made to Boris Johnson from MBS directly by text said, if you don't approve the takeover, we have to rethink our investments in the UK. So when you're dealing on that level, Richard Masters, he's just a minor functionary in this entire story. And I kind of feel sorry for him because he's completely out of his depth. What can you do? You can say, okay, yeah, we'll charge you, we'll give you a ban on going to Champions League, or we'll relegate you, because clearly we've all read the emails that are in Der Spiegel got hold of that were leaked from.
It's bang to rights. That's the thing.
It's bang to rights if they're real. That's the other thing. We'll put that out there. But they are impossible to hold to account. And if they are held to account, not only would they have more money, better lawyers, and more political clout to make sure that they are never either they will never really feel the consequences of it, but they'll bring down the Premier League at the same time, which is again going back to the idea of a Super League. What happens to Manchester City if they do? They'll just say, okay, well, we know Real Madrid, we know Juventus, actually Barcelona could be persuaded to go back to this. Fuck it, let's get out of these leagues. They're restraining our trade. We're bigger than them. We'll just destroy the Premier League. We'll just destroy La Liga. And that's so they're in it. They will eventually, there'll be a fudge, and they'll get away with it. That's tomorrow. They'll be relegated to the National League North, and then that'll be all over. But
I think it's so difficult for them to not get a significant points deduction after Everton and Nottingham Forest. But I suppose Everton did admit it, didn't they?
This is the thing.
No, but it's just so obvious. So obvious though, from like obviously as a it doesn't. The small teams fundamentally you get to a point where over the accumulation of profit, as Karl Marx once said, fucking like it's gonna be like you're just gonna have to like the rest of the bottom of take the top four out of the Premier League. The rest of the teams fundamentally cannot compete just on fight economically. Because like you just not got enough,
and there's a lot of people who like when I speak to
and so
fans
that's why
about
it seems
this,
like Everton gets fucked because it's the Everton fundamentally to the Premier League don't matter really.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they're in a different position now than they were then, as well. I mean, don't forget they had like, essentially. I mean, Fahad Moshiri was like the owner, but really there was also in the background you had Alisher Usmanov, again once of Arsenal. Who seemed to have a large influence of what was going on at Everton as well. So they were in a different position now. They've been bought. I mean, this is one of the things, at least with American owners, whether they're private equity or whatever, at least it's like nakedly open about what their motivation is, which is to create a kind of closed league where their club is ultimately profitable. When you get into the realms of nation states buying football clubs, then you're into a different, like this opaque area where like, what is it that Abu Dhabi and the UAE want? What is it that Saudi Arabia want? They want something wider and bigger and more influential than just. They don't really need the money. This isn't a good investment for them for the amount of money and the amount of influence and a time that would be to build something like Manchester City. Like when they sell Manchester City, if Sheikh Mansour eventually sells Manchester City, okay, maybe it's worth a billion,
quid,
2 billion, whatever.
Yeah, they're not gonna
like
recoup
that's like the profit that Mansour made 2 billion. I think it was 2 billion profit. I'll have to check that just on bailing out Barclays.
Yeah.
You know, in 2008, which is another deal that Amanda Staveley, who then negotiates the Newcastle, I don't want to sing the Barry Manilow song, but
Mandy.
Mandy.
Yeah.
because they were singing that for a little while, and obviously then she hot-footed it.
Square jaw Satan.
Yeah, but it's it doesn't make any sense if you look at it like what we were saying earlier. Who benefits? Big archaeology, there's no profit motive in this.
No,
It's not diversifying the economy of Saudi Arabia or whatever.
It is just the
but I think
PR propaganda.
you explain it really well in the book about it's not sports washing. It's more than that. It's sports washing is to distract from human rights abuses. With this, it's like about. It's a branding exercise for the state, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I would look at it.
It's branding exercise, but it's also like, I mean, one of my favourite parts of researching the book was going to Harvard and meeting Professor Joseph S. Nye. He's the godfather of soft power, and I met him he died not long afterwards. So I was very lucky to have met him in his incredible mind. And you know, he's not obviously not a football guy, not a soccer guy. He's very interested in what Qatar and Saudi Arabia were doing in football for soft power. And soft power, most people think, is a lesser power than hard power. It's not. It's the same. It's the exertion of power, but through a different way. You're just not using coercion, you're using attraction.
Yeah.
And that is what is brilliant about sport, is that it's probably the best. I mean, music is brilliant, art is great as well. But now,
you're not gonna get ultras going to an Ariana Grande gig.
Well, I don't know. You do get
Well,
Ariana Grande ultras and
yeah.
Taylor, like Swifties.
Yeah.
But again, these are like there are very few supporter bases for you know.
We will
Swiftsmen.
follow.
Brandsmen. I don't know, like you know. Okay, there's going to be some, but like with a football club, you get that inherent in every single team that you have.
And it's like repeating itself for potentially 100, 200 years. You know,
however long it goes. And so I you know, Liverpool fans I think are the most kind of invested in the idea that there will be some kind of correction, because you've got a team that I think twice it went down to the last game of the season. Last game of the season. So it's not going to be Juventus. I cannot see a Juventus type situation where they're
stripped of
titles, and then it's just not going to happen, because they're too big to fail. They're too politically important, especially given the situation that Britain is, especially post Brexit, in desperate need of inward investment. There's no way they're gonna like the Gulf states have put themselves in the position to make themselves unregulatable.
Barring revolution in like the Emirates, which isn't going to happen because everyone's a fucking ITV2 influencer. So,
but a friend of mine had a brilliant idea for a novel, which was like, because essentially, if there was an uprising in the UAE, because there's a huge underclass. I mean, my first job.
The slaves, obviously.
My first job.
I thought you meant like there's just like some guy go, we came here to trade forex and everything to stop.
There's going to be.
Forgot about the slaves that UAE is built on.
Wayne Lineker recuperating from pneumonia in Dubai, leading the slave revolution. But you know, when I'd watch that.
Wayne Lineker. No, maybe, I don't know. It doesn't quite work.
But it was, you know, I that's my first job in journalism. I moved out there in 2004 and I lived out there for 2 years. And
did you speak to the Nepalese? And
that was it. That was an awakening. I turned up and this incredible thing to see.
Like passports confiscated.
And I went into the camps because nobody wants to talk about the camps. Nobody wanted to go into the camps. It's like a kind of, and they were so easy. They were so open. Like they were building the biggest mall in the world at the time. And I went down there on a Friday, so it was all quite quiet because obviously, you know, Friday is the day off. And you'd go into this camp next door and you'd meet, and I think it's foundational experience I had. I went into the camps, and it was a Balfour Beatty camp, right? So a British kind of engineering company that were building this, and they were working on this project. And I'd go into the camps, and there were men there who of course, they get traffic. It's not traffic. They sign up for it, but these companies go.
It's under false pretenses, really.
The pipeline from Bangladesh, for instance, which I write about in the Billionaires Stuff. From
very serious moment to do an ad.
That's too serious to talk about. But like the pipeline from Bangladesh to the UAE or Qatar, like every step of the way, these workers are exploited. Usually they're illiterate as well, so they're signing contracts they don't really understand. To the point where I was actually filling out. I went to Dakar airport, and people were asking me to fill out their forms for them because they had like 1 month carpentry visas to Qatar. They couldn't really write or fill out their forms, and they needed help with that. So you have these agencies going, they're all connected to the previous government that's now been deposed.
Right.
And so the agency workers, because remittances are, I think, 10% of the entire
economy,
direct investment, foreign direct investment of the Bangladeshi economy, it would collapse without it. They need to export workers. So the agency business, actually the people who are exploiting these workers the most are Bangladeshi companies.
Sure.
And then they get them out there, and then once they're promised a salary, they get out there, the salary is half of what they're promised. They have their passport taken away from them. They live in abject conditions, and because they've borrowed money to
make the initial journey,
to make the initial payment to the agent, they cannot then come home. And they're proud as well. You don't want to go home and say, "Oh," because the family are all hopeful. This is the breaking of the cycle of poverty, but they've had to mortgage their farmland to get it, so they can't come home. And going into this camp, I saw the desperation of sewage running through the camps, living like 15 to a room. There was no air conditioning. It was the middle of summer, so it was like 45, 50 degrees outside. Absolutely awful. And these men were crying, and one of them said that it was worth his life. That some of the men of the camp had committed suicide by jumping off the bridge on the Sheikh Zayed Highway, which is like some eight lane highway, and because if they died by being hit by a car, then the family would have to be paid blood money. So they were worth. It was an escape, but it was also that they were worth more to their family dead than alive. Jesus. And that was a calculation that people were making, and that was my first experience of Dubai, seeing this kind of thing, and it's got worse. Like there was a reform process in the end. They're just like, it doesn't matter. People don't care. And so whenever you see somewhere like UAE, the issue came up a little bit with Qatar, building of the World Cup. But again, there was a reform process. Qatar did actually bring some changes, but there is still this racial hierarchy of who gets what week, go in the country. And now you have Saudi Arabia building this as well in the World Cup, and it's very difficult to get in to get access to what's going on in Neom, for instance.
Sure,
what's going on in
or the line.
Or the line.
Or the stuff they're building
Which,
there.
In engulfed, I go, there's a football club that they've bought. Neom have bought a football club. They've got a Neom football club. Benrahma played last. Lacazette played, I think. This season, I think. Did he go there?
Yeah, it's like second tier of Saudi football. Like the poor fucking lads go, for fuck's sake.
So there's a city called Tabuk, which is the nearest city to where the line will be, and I found out that they basically Neom had bought this football club, changed the name to Neom, and then started bringing in, like, Benrahma was signed mid-season, and he came in, and there was loads of other players. Who else was playing for them? I'm sure that Lacazette played for them as well.
Yeah, just playing against just like just imagine being the Saudi 19-year-old right back in the second division.
Yeah.
Oh God, Said Benrahma's running up.
So they almost go down to the fourth division, go up to the second division, and then they're now playing in the Saudi Pro League this season, and they were fifth last time I saw. But the whole point is that they're kind of building a football club so that it's going to be then transported to the line
that doesn't exist yet,
so that when the World Cup comes, that there is a tenant in that, and there's going to be a football club in this city that hasn't been built yet, which is insane when you think about it, you know. And but right now there is a Neom football club playing in Tabuk. You can watch it on Saudi Pro, whatever channel you watch the Saudi
wherever
Pro
you
League,
watch your Saudi football. There's so many. There's like that. I think the like I think that was always a false assumption as well. When like, oh well, no one's going to watch that. Well, that's not the point, is it? It's yeah. That's the point is we've got Cristiano Ronaldo allegedly. Cristiano allegedly Ronaldo.
But the thing that gets lost a lot with the discussion about Saudi Arabia and the investment in football is that it isn't necessarily for international consumption; it's for home consumption.
Yeah.
And
bread and circus is shit.
And that's why it's a phenomenal success in that you get. I mean, Saudi football's always been massive. I mean, you know, I spent a lot of time in Middle Eastern football stadiums. Really, Iran, Egypt, I mean, technically Africa, but like
Arab world.
Israel gets big crowds. Really, if you go to watch Israeli football matches, but Saudi is the big one. You'd get for if you went to Al Ittihad versus Al Hilal, you'd get, it was the Jeddah Riyadh derby, massive. You get 60, 70,000 people turn up for that game. Like before all of this happened, before the opening of the country, and so
when everyone playing had Al in the name.
But so it's all for home consumption, and so in that respect, it is again part of that project was. If every investment that they're making is how does it improve the diversification of the economy, of the domestic economy, which is why esports is such a big thing for them. Yeah, because it really matters to people and investments in that.
If you watch Ecstatic,
so of the top 50 esports teams, 48 sponsored by gambling companies. One is sponsored by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And one is sponsored by Gamban.
Is it? What's the name of
Team Ecstatic?
Is it Team Ecstatic? So
for Counter-Strike 2.
I'd never met anyone who liked esports before, and in Georgia, this is again how great this is why I will fundamentally till the day I die hate people who don't like any anti-immigration people for obvious reasons because anyway. I will hate them till I die, any anti-immigration people. I met a Sudanese lad in Tbilisi, which is mental anyway.
Yeah.
And he goes, what for, like, obviously standard conversation, who's your team? And he goes, I just watch esports, but I watched this like Ecstatic. I was, you what?
No, really?
You what?
In the wild?
Yeah. I was like, hang on, I know some cunt who sponsors them.
Did they go to the Esports World Cup last summer in Saudi?
Yes.
Because I was there. And it was the first time I'd seen like esports as an event. I did
like a LAN event is it's pretty amazing. Did they fill a stadium?
Yeah, there's a big. They had this. I went to the Counter-Strike, so they do it in a different way. It's like a kind of horizontal stadium, isn't it?
Yeah,
they're all sitting there horizontally, and you can see it. And some esports work as esports. Counter-Strike was a bit too like I'm watching people kind of being executed by potential psychopathic lazy acts.
It's not really. It's not a sport, really, is it? It's like a shoot 'em up.
But I'm just worrying about what these kids are up to, like when they're not, like what it can do to them. They're just like thousands of headshots every day. But
at least
Rocket
the
League,
Saudis moving public executions from public to a screen.
Virtual executions we preferred, thank you very much. But the Rocket League stuff, it was like roomfuls of ultras.
Yeah,
like supporting him. It was amazing watching the Rocket League and Street Fighter 2. It was. I understood. I mean, I always
imagine Football Manager as an esport.
Yeah, well, I mean that would be
12 months.
The closest
Network
they had
game.
to it was they had like an F1 sim.
All right,
and that was like Football Manager. It was so fucking dull. It was just really technical and just guys not moving. It was just so boring. It was terrible. So they have tried it, but I think they'll probably get rid of that. But it is this huge. Even though they might only be sponsoring one team, it's they are like the Saudis now dominating that whole industry because it's their money through prize money rather than through sponsorship.
And it's at the ground up basically, and it's growing a lot.
Yeah.
So we better.
We better. Oh yeah, we better.
Courtesy.
Yeah, we better.
Oh yeah. Oh, Christ, yeah.
Right, that's been something. Well done if you've watched all. If you've watched all of this, please do.
We've learned something.
Comment. What word can we say if you've watched all of this? Insane cunt. If you've watched all of it, 3 hours. Yeah.
Sorry.
We'll do Short Form Studios, Watford. James Montague. Where can people find you? Where on the internet?
I mean, you can buy a book.
Yes.
That's old school.
You can search the words James Montague at James Piotr.
Yeah, at James Piotr, Jamespiotr on X, or You can find me on
Piotr.
Instagram 31-0. But that's private, so I have to check that you're okay. And then let you into my world.
There you go.
And my God, what world you're going to be let into?
Right. Yeah. All right, idiots. Cultures pod. Matt Zarb, you know him. He's been on before. He can fuck off. He's not having an advert. He's had enough. Right. See you later. There you go.